Good evening, everybody. I'm not the usual voice that you hear at the beginning of the podcast. That's usually Curtis, kind of bringing us in with a little bit of a fashionable intro. But Curtis is in vacation mode right now. Again, now he may join us at some point, but for right now, you're stuck with Bryson and I. Thanks for being here. We got a lot to talk about tonight on a brand new episode of Panthers on Tap. We got the 53-man roster. That's the big news, right? But Bryson, we also got some really fun stuff that's been going on, at least on the internet, man. Like this Adam Thielen speculative trade, right? And the what is the value and all these other kinds of things has been a lot of fun. So we're going to get into that. But before we do, Bryson, how you doing tonight, man?
Wonderful, dude. I'm excited to talk about the big news that dropped today, the Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce engagement.
Holy shit. How did I leave that out of the intro? Man.
No, I mean, that's the big thing that happened today, right? No 53-man roster finalization or anything like that. But no, yeah, I'm doing good, man. It's always, as always, great to hop on here. And even if it's just us, chop it up and talk Panthers football.
How many football fans do you think lost their mind when all of a sudden Adam Schefter and everybody else, because they got notifications set. Today is 53, man roster day. They're thinking of trades. And then all of a sudden this big bombshell comes through from Shefty and then Jordan Schultz and every single insider you can think of, right? And all of a sudden it's just about Travis Kelce marrying Taylor Swift. They got to freak out about that.
Yeah, a lot of NFL fans like to get uptight about that situation, but hey, celebrate love, man. I love love. So
hell yeah.
I personally didn't think it was gonna get to that point, but hey, they proved me wrong. So I'll take my L there.
But love an underdog story.
Yeah, absolutely.
What are you drinking tonight, Bryson?
Yeah, I was about to hop into that, man. I am drinking a hazy IPA, shocker. One lane only is what it's called. It's from a brewery here in Raleigh that's 100% woman owned. It's called Bombshell Beer Company in Holly Springs, Raleigh area. This is, I can't lie, this is probably one of the best hazies I've had on the show so far.
Really?
It is so good, dude. I've already almost finished it and we just started.
So I got at least another one of those.
I do. Not of this beer, of a different beer. It's called Pencil Fighting or something, and it's from a brewery in Maryland. So yeah, this one I highly recommend. I'm going to be going back and getting a couple more probably to drink through this show at some point. So yeah, Ricky, what are you drinking?
I'm unloading my backpack full of beer here. The first thing that I'm drinking right now is a limited series vanilla Imperial Triple Brown Ale from Abita Brewery, which is down there in Louisiana. My sister went to LSU, one of the many colleges she graduated from. She's the smart one. I'm the pretty one of the family. That tells you a lot about our relationship, right? But no, she went to LSU and she swears by the Abita Brewery. So every now and then when I see it, I'll grab it because it reminds me of my sister. Shout out, Chrissy. How you doing?
But then also about that, Ricky, real quick. My sister lived in New Orleans for a long time, for 10 years. She worked at Tulane. And she swears by that brewery as well. So
really, well, dude, they've got they do all of the seasonal stuff too. They have a pecan ale out right now. Getting into the fall stuff. They got a Christmas ale that they always do. A blueberry one in the spring. I mean, they got a bunch of really cool stuff.
Yeah. All right. Hey,
look who's in there.
We got a guest.
I'll finish this up real quick, and then we're gonna bring him up. We're gonna bring him up now. He can listen to me talk.
Look at him.
He loves this part of the show, anyways. To finish it up, though, I also have something up y'all's neck of the woods. Tarboro. This is their Dunkel. So it's gonna be another, darker lager, 5.5%. And I like those, man. They're always fun. Then, of course, like we talked about last week, I got my pumpkin stuff. I'm a basic dude when it comes to stuff. This is from Noda. This is their gorgeous pumpkin ale. And it's fantastic, man. Sweet chick on the motorcycle on the can. Love that. That kind of shit gets me almost every time anyways. So, yeah, that's what I got going. Curtis, dude, what's up, man? How you doing?
What's going on, guys? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, you're actually really good, man. You got good internet over there.
I'm running off of my hotspot on my cell phone. So
wow.
Let's hope this works. Yeah, I got the good old spotted cow.
Oh, that dog.
You can't even see it.
Trying to show off in front of everybody.
But I was telling Ricky and Bryson, or I sent them a picture. They have a Oktoberfest that's really good. That I think it just came out. Can't remember what it's called off the top of my head, but hey, it's good to see y'all. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for jumping on, Curtis.
I'll let Ricky run the show.
Hey, please, by all means, you could do it. I'm struggling with this backpack cooler trying to get my like Santa bag of beer loaded back up.
We'll go through some comments real quick, Ricky.
Start there.
Yeah, get some people that have already been here. Carter was in here before we started. Hey, let's go. He also dropped a super chat. We'll get to that in a minute. Keaton, one of our usual listeners, appreciate you tapping in, man. The legendary DJ Fish Nipples is here. Let's go, guys. Time to drink some good beers while listening. And then, of course, I dropped the Taylor Swift news. My wife tunes in for like 10 minutes and then dips out. So she wanted to shout me out as a Swiftie. I am a self-proclaimed Swiftie, I guess. DJ Holman.
I'm jump in on that quick. I actually broke the news to Michaela today. While we were at lunch, I was like, "Holy shit!" So anyway, I thought that was funny.
That's crazy. I'm sure it blew her mind. But
yeah.
Made for more in here as always. Appreciate you, man.
What up, love?
Nate's in here. What's up, guys? Appreciate you guys tapping in. Shan B. What's up, Panther Nation? And then we have the super chat from Carter. Appreciate you, Carter, as always, man. One of our day one supporters. Give you a cheers here, man.
Carter.
Cheers, Carter. Appreciate you.
So Carter, he did his own 53-man roster. What I would do, not predicting Carolina, got 45 out of 53. I'll review it on my podcast, the Carolina Texans podcast. I did listen to a couple of those episodes of your podcast, Carter. You do a really good job, man, of kind of leading that thing. You're very organized. So shout out to Carter. You guys go listen to his podcast if you get a chance. Man.
Nice work, Carter. 45 out of 53 is not bad, dude. Actually, 3 of us were talking about this earlier today, and I believe Curtis and I both landed at 47 out of 53. And a lot of that for me was because that linebacker room just whooped my ass. I mean, I got like the top 2, and then everyone else was like, they're not going to play for the Panthers. Why'd you pick them, you idiot? Quarterback room was, another one. It's just – we're going to get into this, but the Panthers made some choices, man, with the 53 this cut down.
Absolutely.
All right, so let's see. Well, should we just get into this? Let's start with Adam Thielen. Can we start with Adam Thielen?
Let's do it.
First off, stay or go. Give me one word answer. You two. Bryson, do you want him to stay? Do you want him to go?
Stay.
All right, Curtis, stay or go?
Go for the right price.
You can't ever just follow the rules. You see what I'm saying? Like I knew it was going to happen.
That's not fair at all.
Yeah, I had to try. I'm going to say go. And now let's talk about like the nuance of this situation. Minnesota Vikings fans are losing their minds right now with this topic. I mean, like they think that for some reason we are, kidnap their child and we have them hanging out in the basement while we're all like, running our drug cartel or something is the way that people are talking about this. Like this is the wildest thing in the world. They contacted the Panthers. The Minnesota Vikings reached out, or at least this is the way it's been sold, right? Nobody knows exactly what's happening. We see a lot of insiders carrying water for both sides, but the Minnesota Vikings clearly have more pails on their end because Adam Schefter is walking around like, I mean, dude, this dude is seriously saying, yeah, holding the pail, walking around about it. This dude basically is the Minnesota Vikings assistant GM at this point, the way that he's lobbying for all of this and speaking about it. But they said that they reached out to us, right? Showed express interest. They have Jordan Addison, who's going to serve a suspension. They have Justin Jefferson, who is getting healthy, right? He's coming off of injuries. They just don't have a deep wide receiver room for the first handful of games. They got TJ Hawkinson coming back. TJ Hawkinson's going to be good. But the main thing is they got JJ McCarthy there. And they don't know if JJ McCarthy is any good at playing NFL football. He hasn't done it. No one knows if he's any good at it. So Kevin O'Connell, being the bright coach that he is like, hey, we should insulate this young quarterback, right? We shouldn't have him out there throwing to, and I love Ty Felton, Maryland, Terp, crib. But they don't want him throwing to Ty Felton as their number 2 wide receiver. And I don't blame him. Probably not ready. It's apparently a very complex system that Kevin O'Connell runs. Adam Thielen knows it. Adam Thielen knows Justin Jefferson. Adam Thielen knows J.J. McCarthy. Adam Thielen knows Kevin O'Connell. He can hit the ground running, and they know that. So he has a very specific value to this Minnesota Vikings team. And unless you ask Minnesota Vikings fans, apparently, because they think he's worth a 7th, maybe a 6th, if you absolutely had to. Panthers fans, we're holding the fort with Dan Morgan, apparently, and we're saying, I think he's worth more than that. This is a guy that's still productive. Fellas, you got an asking price that you would say, all right, I will move off of him for this price. And B, do you think that Dan is being a little bit too stingy about it? Do you think that he should loosen the reins so that they could get Adam Thielen out of here and open up opportunities for the young guys?
Yeah, I would say in a vacuum, like if you're looking at this from an overhead view, the Vikings trading for an aging receiver, was he 35 years old, who has history with their team. They need depth at that position, and like you mentioned, Ricky has experience there, right? I think a 6th or 7th isn't crazy when you look at that and you're like, okay, this is a guy that might retire in a year or two, but this is a very peculiar situation because Adam Thielen is still producing at a very high level for his age in particular. Carolina is in no need or rush to get rid of him. He's obviously developed some very strong rapport with Bryce Young and been here throughout Bryce's entire career. It's a room that has depth, and we'll get into some cuts later, but I was a little sad, but I think they can replace him quickly with a certain someone, but like what's been reported, Carolina's not just going to give him away. I mean, why would they? Like there's no reason to do that. So Carolina has an asking price. Dan is obviously set on it, and if the Vikings don't meet it, they don't meet it. They're not just going to do him a favor, do the Vikings a favor, and send him back there. I think it's been reported that Thielen wants to go back. I don't know the validity of that. I think I would understand, that's his home, Silton's property there. I'm pretty sure he's from that area. So, all that's understandable, but I don't think he's unhappy in Carolina either, right? If he came back, he wanted to be with Bryce Young, he got a pay raise in Carolina. They treated him very well in Carolina, and I think he respects that. So, I think if they offered me a 3rd or maybe a 4th, I would consider. I would consider that. I wouldn't necessarily be chomping at the bit to trade him and like, okay, get off my team and pack your bag, see you later kind of thing. And I think a lot of that would hinge on the availability of Hunter Renfrow if he doesn't sign to someone else's practice squad or someone else's active roster. So I think there's a lot of ifs for me. But if the 3rd or 4th was on the table, I would consider it.
So Curtis, let me ask you then, because Bryson just brought it up about, Adam supposedly being open or wanting. That's the wording that Adam Schefter used. He said Adam Thielen has discussed going back to Minnesota, which he would want to do, right? I think that's the wording, which he would want to do. That I think is what threw people a little bit. They wanted to know, is that Adam Thielen saying that he wants out of Carolina? Or is that Adam Thielen saying, if Carolina wants to move me, I am going to be happy and content going back to Minnesota, as opposed to being dealt to some hellhole like New Orleans or Atlanta or Tampa Bay or those NFC South teams that aren't the Carolina Panthers. What do you think about that? Is that something that you feel like Schefter as an insider would have to have some sort of head nod from Adam Thielen to use that kind of wording? Or do you think that he's carrying so much water for Kevin O'Connell and Kwesi and these Minnesota Vikings that he's just kind of laying it on thick for himself?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's coming from Thielen's camp or if that was Minnesota trying to prod to get something more out of Carolina and make this thing move along. I kind of agree with you when you said, I think it's like, well, yeah, if they were to trade me, obviously I think he'd prefer to go back to Minnesota. But I mean, let's not forget this guy was, pondering retirement and said he wanted to come back and play with Bryce Young. So I don't know if I buy so much that he wants the hell out of here, and if they don't trade him, he's not going to play type thing. But I think if they do trade him, he would obviously prefer to go back to Minnesota, do the one last ride type of thing. going back to your previous question on compensation, I've always been of the mindset I really wanted a player. I don't know if they have a player to give us that Carolina would be interested in, but if we're talking picks, I have a hard time dealing him away from. I mean, it's got to be a 5 or better, and I have a tough time even with a 5. I think 4 is probably asking a lot, even a 3. But I still think he's a hell of a player, and I know he's on it's probably going to be a 1-year deal no matter where he goes. But he's still like a top player in this league when it comes to getting open and being, a reliable target in this game, no matter how you slice it. Go ask Cooper DeJean, one of the top corners last year coming out as a rookie, and how he had him in a blender in that game. So I get his age. I get it's probably a 1-year deal. But I'm of the mindset Carolina's got all the leverage here. I'm Dan. I'm waiting. And if you don't deal him, Bryce Young still gets his security blanket. Like, what? There's nothing to complain about here.
Right.
So it's a win-win for Carolina. Just don't give them up for free. Make them pay for it.
And I want to make real quick, Ricky. I want to make it clear. I don't want to not trade Adam Thielen because I'm scared of the repercussions for Bryce Young, because I don't think that plays into my ideology at all. I think, there's rapport there, and Adam Thielen has proven to be good on the field when he's on the field. But if he is traded, I'm not worried about Bryce's ability to throw that to Coker or to throw that to T-Mac or whoever the case may be. So I think there is like a subsection of Panthers universe, Twitter, whatever it is, that is worried about, okay, if we trade Thielen, then what's Bryce going to do, right? And that's not me. I don't have that hesitation at all. I just think that it's a position of strength, and he is a big part of that. And unless you are forced your hand to trade him, I don't see why you would. I really don't.
Let's go back to Ricky, though, on that, because Dan Orlovsky has kind of been pushing that thing that Bryson just mentioned, where he thinks this is bad if Bryce Young loses Thielen. So does Orlovsky just not know about Jalen Coker, or is it like what's your thoughts on that?
Humor me on this. Wasn't Dan Orlovsky supposed to be like on the staff with Bryce Young as a rookie? Yep. And did he do what was best for Bryce Young in that situation? He might have by not joining the staff. Who knows? But what I will say is this. Him being worried about Bryce Young and Adam Thielen being his safety blanket, I'm tired of people speaking about Bryce Young like Bryce Young didn't remind everybody what he was capable of at the end of last year. And that he didn't do it throwing it to a lot of people, not just Adam Thielen, right? Like, we've got to understand, man, that when you look at Bryce Young's rookie season, that is where a lot of these opinions form from Bryce Young. It's his rookie season. We have seen all the context surrounding the rookie season come to fruition now in this past year, right? You got guys like DJ Chark that's getting cut from the Falcons. You got, who is it, Jonathan Mingo, who's going to go on IR for the Cowboys, but since he was traded to them, he had 5 receptions for 46 yards. And that's in the Cowboys offense where CeeDee Lamb didn't play a couple of games. Jalen Tolbert was there too. Like, and I get it. Cooper Rush was the guy. That's cool, man. Cooper Rush is still a NFL player who kind of sliced and diced the Carolina Panthers up. So if your argument is that Cooper Rush isn't good enough to do it, that's a really bad indictment on the Panthers as well. But so here's the deal, man, with this whole Adam Thielen and the cost. I'm exactly like what you guys are feeling with this, that I'm not going to give him up just because Minnesota wants him back and because it's a really good story for him to go back to Minnesota, right? And to bathe himself in the waters of Lake Minnetonka and be reunited with all of the really fun, I don't know what they do in Minnesota, blow on horns, drink beer in the cold. I mean, it sounds fun, but I don't really care if we have to facilitate that while we get back a 6th-round pick because it's the nice thing to do and because we have a plethora of players in that room. If you got a surplus on something, that means that you control the market on it. Like, that's what people keep on missing here. You guys said the word leverage earlier. Carolina hasn't been in a position where they controlled and owned the leverage in a really long time. The fans that are saying, like, look, man, get way for Coker, get way for Xavier Legette, get way for T-Mac, they can still get snaps. Dave Canales is still the football coach of the Carolina Panthers. He can decide who's going to be in the rotation. He can decide who's going to be out on the field. And he's going to play the players that are the best players that should be out there. Having a rotation ain't the worst thing. If Adam Thielen's about to turn 35, and we saw his hamstring damn near explode in Las Vegas last year, right? If he needs to play, I don't know, 50, 45% of snaps instead of 85 or 90, that's going to reserve his health a little bit, in theory, at least. That's not the worst thing in the world for me. You brought up Hunter Renfrow. He was waived. Hunter Renfrow is probably going to be on the practice squad because he only wanted to play here in Carolina. So if Adam Thielen is traded, there's an insurance policy. If Adam Thielen is hurt, there's an insurance policy. Oh, and don't forget about Jalen Coker, who might have been the best receiver on the entire football team last year anyways. But let me finish up this rant because we actually do have another guest here, which I know is funny because we said another guest. Curtis is actually part of the show. He's one of the hosts, but we didn't know if he was going to be here or not tonight. But we got an actual surprise guest that we didn't talk about. We didn't say he was going to be here, but he is. You guys know him, Aaron Duncan, Dunk from Unnecessary Bluntness. Dunk, man. My man, appreciate you being here.
Fellas. It's good to be seen, man. How's it going?
Oh, we're just in here ranting and hooting and hollering about this Adam Thielen thing, man. You got anything you want to say about that?
Yeah, I want to
hear. Nah, man, it's a lot that's been said. It is a lot to be said. I mean, you kind of nailed it, man. Like, I mean, I think people are just so used to us being a farm system, bro. They expect us to lay down and like roll out the red carpet for him to go. Like, bro, no, like, what are we talking about here? Like, Adam Thielen is not, for what we know. Yeah, I mean, we saw at practice he was cheesing today. He's not a locker room cancer. He's not skipping practice because of nicks and bruises like Deontay Johnson was that last practice before he left. For all we know, he's been a good teammate. He said he wanted to come back because of Bryce. He took them to Minnesota to train. He took them out on the lake. We got some pretty funny content of them on a boat via Nalo's vlog and stuff like that. So the team bonding has been there. I think everybody sees him as the OG. It just doesn't seem like the house is on fire that we have to move off of this. And so, like, the audacity of Carolina Panthers to want to get proper value for that. And people are saying, like, Thielen's not worth the third. You know, you're worth what you can negotiate, dog. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you think Adam Thielen. It doesn't matter that he's about to be 35 years old. It doesn't matter that he's on the final year of his contract. All that stuff doesn't matter. You're worth what you can negotiate. And right now, there's not even a market. It's literally a private transaction. And people are like, you can get like, dude, we don't want to trade them. I think somebody said it. You might have gained an analogy. They were like, when those people that dial your number randomly that say, hey, we're looking to buy houses in your neighborhood, and you're like, no, I wasn't looking to move. And they're like, I'll offer you $1 million. And I'm like, all right, okay. I mean, I don't know what y'all guys' house may be worth, but $1 million would be pretty damn good for my house. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So that would make me, that's something like that. But if they want to give you market value, I'm like, no, I'm not really trying to move. The inconvenience of moving. I got to pick my kids up and leave and stuff like that. But if I'm clearing $1 million on my house, we can cry in a new home. You know what I'm saying? When we buy that, and of course, you're going to get compensated correctly. So like they came to us. We're not shopping him. We're not trying to just get rid of him. Like I said, he hasn't been a liability. Shame on us for trying to get proper value for him. So it's just funny to see how the NFL reacts. And it's just, I don't know. I feel like every other month something happens with us. And like there's a random fan base that we just start getting into it online. And so it happens to be the Vikings now. And I don't know how this is going to play out. I assume he's going to go. It just feels like when stuff like this has too much momentum, you can't really put the toothpaste back in the tube. So I think it's a wrap. It's just a matter of when and how much we get. Now, obviously, a third would be ambitious, but if that's what Dan is asking for, good for Dan. I'm not gonna fault him for wanting the third because we don't want to get rid of him.
Don't you think that maybe some of that third talk though is that if you go and you look at what available picks the Minnesota Vikings have right now for the 2026 NFL draft. They have 2/3. One is a potential compensatory pick. One is their pick. The fourth round, they don't have a pick right now. It is a projected pick for Cam Robinson's playing time. Now, Cam Robinson did just get traded today, or they're working on trading him. That may help his playing time cause if he goes somewhere to start, right? But they can't trade that pick right now. So when we sit here and we talk about what pick it would be to move you off of, Adam Thielen and feel good about it and feel like, hey, look, we won that trade. We're not going to sit here and bitch about it. We didn't do a favor. We made a smart move for the franchise of the Carolina Panthers. A third round feels like the only thing he could ask for because a fifth isn't doing it for me. Like I may end up taking a fifth and walking away from it if that's all that we can do. If this gets nasty, where Adam Thielen is not going to be happy here and the brass wants to move on, right? A fifth is better than nothing. but you can't ask for a fourth because they don't got it. So why wouldn't you ask for a third? Maybe we throw in a sweetener, right?
Yeah. And I said that I think I said it in like the group chat. I was like, man, I throw them a 6 back or whatever to make that 3 work. And I don't know how conditional picks work with like the comp picks, but like for like playing time, even because he's gonna get most of his playing time, it's gonna be front loaded with Addison out, obviously being out. So maybe they kind of just bench him later on in the season because they don't want to give up of whatever. They don't want the conditional pick to go from a third to a fourth. You know what I'm saying? Like a fourth to a third or whatever. So maybe work out something like that. I don't know if you can even do that. But like, again, like you said, if they don't have a fourth, what are you offering up? I mean, I don't know if you could probably do 2027 picks, but that's not doing anything for us right now. And I doubt they trade for that. So, I mean, to me, man, it's about time we've been in a position like this, man. And like, I wouldn't move if I was Dan Morgan. Like, what incentive do you have to move? Like you said, they can control the rotation. So it's not like, and honestly, obviously we haven't seen anything, but it feels like he's almost been phased out. Like we see a sideline catch every so often or whatever like that. And we see one-on-ones, but that's put out by the beat. But everything we see is XL, is T-Mac, is Coker. We'll see JT getting some love. They'll throw a bone to the Jimmy crowd, but we haven't really seen a ton of Thielen put out in front. And he may be making plays. And we've heard Shaw Smith-Wade talk about how much Thielen's put in work and stuff like that. But they haven't really put him on the forefront like that. We haven't really seen a ton. So it feels like they're attempting to phase him out and kind of lean on your wide receiver 1 and 2. You can determine who you think that is. That's another debate for whomever. But it just feels like he is starting to fade to the background. Obviously, him and Bryce have that connection. So you can't completely count him out. But it feels like the team is really trying to move away from him at this point. And so to me, man, I know there's some trepidation by some people in the fan base. And I don't know if it's because of lack of trust in Bryce or lack of trust in the rest of the receiving core. And I get it. But if you're looking for a safety blanket, man, I really think Jalen Coker can be that type of guy, man. He's dependable. He's reliable, dude. He has some injuries where he gets hurt, but I mean, Thielen has some injuries as well. But like Coker has a different, he's that, and he's not as crafty as Thielen, I'll say, because I think as Thielen has got older, I mean, he's been crafty, but as he's gotten older and slower and moved to the slot, he's gotten a lot more crafty. But I think
as he's gotten slower, he's gotten craftier. He's been better when he gets slower.
I mean, he's had to, man. But like Coker has that type of, I guess you call it football IQ. He's very, very smart and understands space. He understands zone. He's too big for like smaller nickels. He's too fast and a good route runner for linebackers and safeties to guard him. I think he can be a real good matchup problem. We saw the little slot fade he caught on the inside. A lot of his best plays come from the slot, but I also think he has inside out versatility. I think T-Mac has the same thing. So there's a lot of different things we can do alignment wise with all of the guys we have, because even XL can play on the inside. So like, I just don't have the same worries that a lot of people have. And I'm a big Thielen guy. Again, I keep saying it. My fantasy football team is named after him. I'll probably change the name if he leaves, but it's just, I don't know, man. I think that will be okay. And I like Coker. And I think a lot of people like Coker, but if you have the same faith in Coker that you claim you do, you should be able to believe that he can step up in that spot because he's already shown he can do it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more on Coker Dunk. And speaking on animosity towards the Minnesota Vikings fan base, Ricky, I got to tell you a story at some point. A game that Curtis and I went to, and there was some animosity on my end to a Vikings fan that almost didn't end up so good. Probably if Curtis wasn't there. But
color me shocked. I am surprised that you almost got into an altercation at a Panthers game.
Very, 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 very. But before we get too much further, we do have a super chat. Dunk, I'm excited for you to see this name. It is one of our usual listeners here, Mr. Thick Nasty. The boys on a Tuesday night. What a nice surprise. Cheers as always. P.S. How the fuck did Tremaine and more make it over Renfro? Couldn't agree more, Mr. Thick Nasty. We appreciate you, man. So cheers to you for the super chat.
Ew.
I was empty out of my beer. Y'all caught me at a pit stop.
Doug, what are you drinking over there? What do you guys drinking?
I'm not drinking beer. I'm drinking a long drink. I don't know if you guys have heard of it, but
what is
it's like it's a citrus gin with natural grapefruit drink. It's a very, very good summertime drink. They have cranberry. They have a long drink strong. I go to a ton of beer festivals here around the house, but they're it's an easy drink.
Is it like a high noon but with gin then basically?
I can honestly say I've never had a high noon.
Yeah, me neither, but I know what it is.
Like
but yeah, I would if I had to guess, I would say yes. But it's with gin, it's 5.5%. Grapefruit flavor. It's carbonated, obviously, but like I said, gin. Because long drink is an actual cocktail. Like you can make a long drink with gin and like I think it's just club soda, gin, and it's almost like a gin and tonic, but with club soda instead. But it's a good drink. What you guys on?
Oh,
Hazy
man,
IPA.
I just finished my first brown ale, vanilla brown ale, and now I got this Dunkel. Hey, that's appropriate. How about that?
That's awesome.
I didn't even think about that, but look at that. It's like that. What's that Apple TV show? Shrinking. Everything always goes my way. Like that's kind of how it is.
Doug, I gotta ask. You got a permit for those guns?
Only on Tuesdays.
Came up in here with that tank top on, knowing what he was going to do.
Only on Tuesdays, man. I was going to crop it in so I could hit my neck up, but
this is an intimidation tactic so that when Vikings fans see this, they no longer say slick shit to Dunk because they're like, hey, actually, you know what? If he's not a keyboard warrior, we're in a lot of trouble. So we're going to watch our mouth from now on.
No, these beefs are so funny, man. Like between the Eagles, the Falcons, obviously, that's the usual suspect. Between the Eagles and the Vikings, I've learned a lot about some of these fan bases that just really didn't know a lot about, like complaining, the whining, the just thinking that the outside perspective of Panthers fans is just, it's very, very low. It's no responsibility. I mean, it's not our fault, obviously, but people just, I don't know what they expect from us, but like.
The fans are literally telling us that we don't have a right to want a fair compensation for a trade because our team sucked 7 years ago. That's a wild sentiment, man. Like, you guys can't ask for what you deserve. Y'all sucked earlier. That's crazy, man. Like, what about when you were a nerd? Would you tell your boss now that like you shouldn't get what you're paid for your job because you were a nerd in high school? Like, come on, man.
It's beyond me, man. And they can't wrap their minds around how negotiations and leverage works, but here we are.
That's right. That's why they're Minnesota
guys.
Vikings fans.
The super chats are coming in hot still. Hey, Mr. Thick Nasty, couple more for Dunk. What up, though?
Hey, yo, what up, though?
Love that.
Cheers, boy.
Cheers again. We appreciate it, man.
Dunk, have you seen the guy in the chat too? I didn't see a super chat from him, but his name is DJ Fish Nipples. That's a really good one too, man.
Hey, man.
I don't know. I know you got a lot of people in your chat all the time too, but we've got some of the most creative ones. We had a pets in a bathtub for a while. Like, just good stuff, man.
Now the YouTube names get crazy because like you don't have to put profile pictures on this. People just get really creative, dog. It's always funny. It's always funny on YouTube chats, bro.
Curtis, say his name.
B-Pays.
Yeah, I'm not saying that one.
B-Pays.
B-Pays is in here. Scott Fitterer.
I would have said Pais.
We had this whole thing for like 3 weeks where we just kept saying it the wrong way. I was like, felt awful, man. The dude's in here hanging out with us, and we just don't even know his name the right way.
Steady contributor, man. We appreciate you, man. Then we got Shan B. Absolutely. Shan B. How would you all feel about receiving a sixth and a player that can strengthen one of our weaker positions, i.e. a quality linebacker or safety? I assume that's, in relation to the Adam Thielen talk that we just had. First, before we answer, I'm going to cheers them again. I'm going to run out of beer quick, man. These are coming in hot here.
Here, Shane.
I have to run downstairs and grab some more, but yeah, we kind of touched on that a little bit. I'm not exactly sure where that player on the Vikings roster would come from to strengthen one of our weaker positions, like a linebacker or safety. We touched on like the Ivan Pace talk. Like, we're not getting Ivan Pace. Like, let's leave that.
That was one of my favorite things that popped up on the internet during all of this madness when everyone's like, look, just send us Ivan Pace for Adam and we'll call it a day.
You know what? I'll tell you what. If you send us Justin Jefferson, we will take that trade. We will accept it.
Right.
And then safety, I'm not exactly sure where the roster sits with safety, but I would assume they're not in a great position like us. So I think if one could be identified, a player on that roster, and the Vikings are willing to move, and it does upgrade one of our weaker positions, then maybe I'd feel a lot better with that 6th. But where do you guys, land on that?
Dunk, let's get your take on this one.
I mean, this is
do the
just
Vikings
me.
have anybody? You've looked at the roster, man.
I did look at it a little. I just don't feel like they have the depth, especially corner. I actually traded a corner recently for a 6th-round pick, and like their fans were like, what? Because like they're already thin at their position, so they're like kind of shedding that. I'll be curious how tomorrow goes. I think that would be the kind of easiest way to kind of quote unquote upgrade. It just feels like, and it just could be me with my feelings. It doesn't feel like the depth around the league is there at all. Like nobody's trying to give up anything unless it's like a later guy, and they're doing pick swaps and stuff like that. And obviously you have the eventual like starters that needs to be moved for like great compensation. But like, I think at this point, your roster kind of is what it is. Unfortunately, and as weak as our positions are that we're weak at, it's hard to find. It's going to be hard to find any upgrades. Definitely ones that we can microwave within a week or two to come in and like seriously contribute. I mean, especially a linebacker. Safety, you may get lucky, but I doubt it. There's just so much communication that goes on in this system that you just don't want this. I'm just trying to avoid those mental errors like we had last year as much as possible. But all that being said, we'll see if we can find a player from anybody, but I doubt it's anything significant. It'll be some depth, which we could use, but that's just not exciting to me to move off of Adam Thielen because I know how much they need him. And so there's just not a lot of things they can move off player-wise that will make me feel good about it. That's realistic because like I said, Ivan Pace is not being sent over here, unfortunately. And
when you're limited to the one team and their roster, right? The pickings are slim. I mean, that's just what it is, right? We'll get into the waiver wire, and maybe there's some options that you can fill in some of those depth and developmental pieces with the waiver wire. I think that's, better option. You don't have to give up the 6th-round pick to do that. You just have to get rid of DJ Johnson and the other people that shouldn't have been on the roster. But we'll get into that later. Curtis, anything with the Minnesota roster that you would want to do as far as a player? I mean, I think we got into this a little bit last week.
Yeah,
there just didn't seem to be anyone that really
There isn't a ton. I mean, Dunk hit it. There isn't a ton out there, and I don't think Minnesota's willing to do that. And I think the picks are the obvious. I mean, look how many picks they got now over the last couple of days. So it's tough to say. I do want to get to this next super chat because I want to get into this conversation here. And Mike Hollinger, $2 says, pour one out for Hunter Renfrow. Cheers. Appreciate you, Mike. And I want to start.
Sigh? I want to know. Yeah, I can't wait to hear if that sigh was like, I'm disappointed, or if that's, it is what it is.
Disappointment, but
we'll get to Dunk on this, but I want to start with Bryson because I know he was, out of all three of us, were the biggest push for Hunter really since he was signed to this roster initially. And that is Bryson, initial reaction when you saw he was cut. And then you also, on the flip side, how many receivers they did keep, and they didn't obviously keep Renfrow. So just talk to us about that a little bit. Vent here.
Man.
Here's your time.
I was at the gym working out, and I saw that come through, and I took I normally take like a minute and a half to 2 minutes between sets. I took like 10 minutes. Really sad. I took some time to think it over. I tweeted out some stuff that probably will be regrettable.
But violin music.
I mean, it was sad, dude. Curtis, kind of talked on it a little bit throughout our time in this offseason about it being a good story. I thought he had some good clips out there from training camp. Of course, we didn't see much in preseason with him being injured and then playing with Plummer. I don't think we would see much from Justin Jefferson playing with Plummer. So I think that kind of hamstringed him a little bit there, with the quarterback play. But, I understand with the David Moore, people talk about the special teams aspect and then his relationship with Dave Canales. I don't want to hear that shit, man. I just think Renfrow's a better player. I really do. I know he doesn't bring a whole lot to the special teams aspect of the team, but especially if we're, mulling over trading Adam Thielen, you're taking a chance of a team out there, maybe even the Vikings, not wanting Renfrow on their squad. in going into week 1. So I would have loved him to stay on this 53 and over a guy like David Moore or even Bryson Tremaine. I was just a fan of his, man, of the work that he put in. And, he got back on the field and the coaches were raving. He looks like his old self from Oakland and Vegas. And, it's like he didn't miss any football. And, maybe that was fibbed a little bit. I don't know. We weren't there, unfortunately. But, from the clips we saw, he looked good, man. He really did in those routes. So maybe it's short-lived and he's back soon. I'm holding out hope for that, but we'll see where it goes. But yeah, I was sad. I was really sad. I can't lie.
Outside of Mike Vrabel, how many coaches do you hear that just openly and willingly just like trash their players, right? Like,
Yeah.
You said like they were talking about like, oh, he looks like Oakland or Las Vegas, whatever, Hunter. Yeah, I mean, Dave's a nice guy, man. Like Dave's not going to sit there and be like, yeah, I expected more out of Hunter. He looks pretty old. Kind of reminds me of one of those hosts of Panthers on Tap. I think he's got a doppelganger over there in the Raleigh-Durham area. But no, and I'm going to bring up Lowe's comment because, you alluded to this a little bit, Bryson, and I think this is a good way to segue into Duncan Curtis's thoughts on this. And then we're going to get into the 53 from here because I do want to start talking about that and not take too much time talking about all the other happenings because there's a lot of moving pieces today that I think that we should touch on and then see what happens with the waiver wire. But Lowe said it's not over for him, in my opinion. And I saw Lowe, you were having a conversation with John on Twitter, John from One Carolina, terrific content creator himself. And you said something along the facts of like, he only wanted to play here for Carolina. That's why he came out. Now, is that 100% true? We don't know if he only wants to play here for Carolina. If somebody else comes and they say, hey, we'll give you $6 million to come and play in San Diego, in Los Angeles, you might think twice about that. I know I sure as hell would. Even if I wanted to stay in Carolina forever, if somebody offered me the right amount of money, this is what Dunk was just talking about. Sell your $500,000 house for $1 million. You're probably going to do it, even if you ain't playing on it. But is Hunter Renfrow going to get that? We don't know. You talked about we saw some cool clips of him. Well, that's all we're allowed to see of the Carolina Panthers this offseason. Like we were not able to go to camp. We're not able to watch practices and provide context of our own into the things that we're seeing. Those highlights that were shown are handpicked from the staff, from the Carolina Panthers social media team, right? Now we have some from like our beat reporters that will show some stuff. The one-on-ones, Hunter's always going to look good in the one-on-ones. Like that's a matchup advantage for him on just about everybody that he does, right? But so Duncan Curtis, is Hunter going to end up on the practice squad because he only wants to play in Carolina? And are we going to see we can call up 2 people a week from the practice squad that don't count against that roster? Are we going to see Hunter used as one of those guys? He's got a little bit of special teams to him. Not a lot. Apparently not as much as David Moore that is just like unfazable, man. It's honestly, it's impressive at this point. And David Moore's not a bad football player. So I don't want to make it seem like, how are we keeping Ian Thomas around forever? Like, I don't want to have that conversation about David Moore because I don't necessarily think that's where he is. But it is pretty impressive that he's making it over a guy like Hunter Renfrow that Dave, gushed about. What are y'all thoughts on Hunter Renfrow, where he stands with the practice squad, and what that means for the rest of that wide receiver room moving forward?
Let me go.
Sure. I didn't give a good way to like tell one of you to speak. So yeah.
Nah, it's and I mean, I don't want to say this. I like to read the Panthers.com articles because Darren Gant, he's technically a beat writer, but he works for the team, right? So if you pay attention to what he says, he gives nuggets sometimes, and he's not always my favorite guy because he can be a little, I don't want to talk bad about, I'm not going to talk bad about it. He just kind of, it's sometimes it's a know-it-all type of thing, and they try to downplay like legitimate concerns and feelings that the fans have at times. But I thought what he put in the article, that fact that just to clarify, like hey, he's a vested vet. He's not subject to waivers. He could come back to practice squad if he so chooses. That plus what you guys are saying about the interview with him talking about him literally commuting to the across, I guess, the border every day to come back and forth, how it's convenient for him. He's been a Panthers fan. They literally rolled out Dabo at practice. I don't even know. Has Dabo ever been to practice?
I guess that was crazy.
No, yeah, I don't know.
Well,
Dabo's
when they
never
did
been
FanFest last year, was it Dabo at FanFest?
Yeah, when
Yeah,
2,000
that was-
fans
Yeah.
showed up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Basically,
But
this
that-
entire panel was the audience.
yeah, I mean, it's just it's just what the stuff they did, the stories they wrote about it. It's just like it feels like the story's not the book is not closed. You know what I'm saying? The book is not completely written on him. And obviously it just feels like it's something that's hanging in the air because of the Thielen deal, right? And so I get it. He doesn't play any special teams, and I know Rick. We talked about it in the group chat. You asked the question about if what you saw on tape was something worth 53.
right.
And I
Yep.
think the part about it is like I think it's the physicality, right? If you saw him in that game, he was getting up slow, right? Like he got because he wasn't just obviously he got set out to dry by Jack Plummer.
Jack Plummer, right?
He was literally trying to take him out, like send him back in retirement. But like,
did you watch all of the reps between Jack Plummer and Hunter Renfrow? I'm sure you did, but like that wasn't just a one thing. That wasn't a one-time thing. Even in the Texans game, in the Cleveland game, like it was like they had an argument, bro. Like, it's like they're Eskimo brothers and they weren't happy about it.
I was gonna put together a reel about it and just show like all the times where he literally could have gotten his head taken off and it wasn't even necessary. But it's hard because he got a lot of love in the Texans game. It just looked like he was kind of getting his legs back underneath them. But like this last game, he was like filling up. He was like going through the holes, leading up, blocking. He was getting thrown around. His legs got caught underneath the pile one time. Like he was getting up pretty slow. So I think that part is still coming back into him as well. And being out of the game that long, you got to get your legs back underneath you. So maybe he does need more time, and he was out for those few weeks. He actually is older. And I think just maybe at this stage, he doesn't want to move across the country. Maybe he has I forgot what type of business it is, a construction business, something like that, or whatever type of business he started while he was out of the game.
Maybe.
Yeah, something like that. But so maybe he doesn't want to move, at this point, especially we don't know what conversations they've had. And so for all we know, the trade could go through tomorrow for Thielen. They bump him up or they pull something like that because this time last year, Coker was on the team and then he wasn't, and then they brought him back anyway. And so there's always those type of games that they play. But I think Hunter, it was a little bit of a letdown for me because he seemed like he was getting back to his old self. But I also don't think that it's over for him, at least with us. At least I'm hoping, because I was a fan of his work. And I think he can help out. And he was only making like $1 million. So it's like, come on.
And Curtis, that's a perfect segue into your answer here, because you and I, when the three of us spoke about Hunter Renfrow in training camp, when they brought him onto the roster, you and I were saying like, it is a nice training camp story. Like it's one of them feel good, personal stories. Our concern wasn't his ability. If he got back into where he was from a route running standpoint, from a production on the field standpoint at his peak, that wasn't a concern. He was going to make the team. Our concern was you've been out of football, meaningful football, and a lot of reps and taking that physical contact, going through the training, going through the weight management, going through the nutrition, doing all of that, especially with his illness. We didn't know how he would hold up. And that's why we valued so much this preseason and seeing him in game action instead of just practice, right? Like you wanted to see what would happen when there are live opponents on the other side that are trying to win a job too. And it looked like the reaction started to take a little bit of a physical toll, as Dunk was just alluding to. And not just that from like I can't do it, but hey, I ain't done this in a minute, man. Like I know that when I haven't done something in 3 months, even if it's just some regular ass yard work, like when the winter comes and I don't got to mow the grass and I don't got to do a whole bunch of stuff out there, when I got to go out there and weed for the first time in the flower bed, my back yells at me. Like literally you could hear it from the cul-de-sac. It is screaming at me. So like maybe that's also part of it for Hunter Renfrow.
And that's a drop in the bucket compared to getting your ribs destroyed across the middle on a slant.
Man. I pulled my back pumping gas the other day, and we're talking about him getting hit by 330-pound nose tackles while he's trying to block an edge rusher. I mean, come on, man.
Well, the one thing we hadn't touched on, I mean, he was out with a hamstring in practice. He missed several practices there, and I think that hindered him too a lot, is missing some of that. But like Dunk mentioned, we don't know those conversations they had today. I'm sure that conversation came up that, hey, I'm really not looking to go anywhere. I kind of wanted to stay around the Carolinas, and this guy's going to be on the practice squad tomorrow. Like I can see that totally. I do agree with Dunk. Darren does put nuggets out there from time to time, and it just seemed glaring like this guy is not going very far, and that's kind of why I wasn't too, I guess, freaked out by it. Shocked. I think we're all shocked a little bit. But David Moore, I mean, that guy, I know there was some people shit talking him in the chat, but he's just consistent. As much as people hate on him, like, he is Dave Canales' guy. We know that. But when he's in there, man, he finds a way to catch the ball when it's thrown his way. And he's proven, to
Usually.
be, yeah, but like he shows up for the most part. And I think for Renfro, it's just, man, that's being out of the game that long. Everyone just thinks it's easy. They can turn on a switch and get going again. But what he dealt with, it's a tough situation. So,
yep. Well, let's do one last super chat, and then we're going to bring up the 53. We'll just do the screen from the Panthers site. Let's just make this really simple on us. I think that we've all seen it, so we can talk through it, and everyone else can look at it. For Panthers fans only, the guys over there. Which, by the way, if you haven't bought their Carolina Reaper shirt, their Bryce Young shirt, they got like 3 colorways now. Go over there, cop it. Ours are on almost like every other week. It's like our paycheck or something, like bi-weekly. We wear that shirt, man. It's fantastic. Cheers, boys.
Guys. We appreciate you guys tapping in.
I was gonna wear that if I elected to wear sleeves tonight. Just FYI, it's really behind me.
But you didn't. Look at you,
Ricky. Real quick, you missed one from Keaton here.
Oh no.
A super chat, and then right under it, I assume.
Oh, he wants to hear the Vikings story. Keaton, can we do that at the tail end of this episode, or do we want to do it right now? Boys, it's up to you. You guys are the culprits here. I don't know how much shit you want to put out in the middle of the episode about your shenanigans at the
Bryson talk shit. Guys were yelling at each other. I had to break them up. That was the gist of it.
Yeah, I mean, I was just like, there was a line of Vikings fans right in front of me, seating. I went to each of them and yelled, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, to each single one of them.
Very subtle about it.
And then I gestured to one of them to meet me at the bottom of the steps, and he didn't meet me at the bottom of the steps. So, and that was the game Sam Darnold threw like that crazy pass to Tommy Tremble, and then had a drive to force overtime, and then we ended up losing. So
and then Kirk Cousins always finds a way to beat us. So
joke's on me.
How it works.
You should have stole their board and called them out in the parking lot with it or something, The old skull and clapped at them. Thank you, Keaton. Appreciate you, man. Cheers.
Appreciate you, man.
Cheers.
We've actually had some crazy games against the Vikings now that I think about it. Because
we have, right? Like, the more we talk about this, it's weird that we have this weird thing with them.
The Cooper BB game winner. Oh, yeah.
Franklin touchdown, the pick six.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about the Cooper BB touchdown that he had where Teddy threw a miracle one to Curtis Samuel, and I think Sly ended up missing the field goal. Teddy overthrew DJ Moore on a 2-point conversion, I think. And it was a wide open slant, and he missed them, and it was a close one there, obviously, but it wasn't.
Did Jeremy Chin have 2 or 3 picks?
Yeah, that was a Jeremy Chin legacy game. Legacy game.
All right, I got to figure out. Let's get this set up here. Got that removed. Okay. This is about as big as I can get it. Let me see if I can make this any larger. Ooh. All right. So let's look at the names here. Any of these. So look, Michael Tarquin, Brandon Walton, Jared Kingston, I thought had a chance of making the roster. I had him on my 53. I thought that his versatility, being able to play center, guard, tackle, honestly, from inside out, he could play every key on the piano if you asked him to. Jared Harrison Hunt, I liked him, man. I had a 5th round grade on him in the Carolina draft guide, but I just think that it was a numbers thing here too. I hope that he's back on the practice squad along with the guy underneath him, Sam Roberts, who, Bryson, you and I had a entire guy crashing out on us today because we said that Sam Roberts should be on the practice squad. Lost his mind talking about, this is crazy. You said Panther, and I was like, I said he should be on the practice squad, guy. Calm down. I said that he didn't look incompetent. He looked good.
Yeah, he was you couldn't pull up a single play, a single rep of him looking good, and then you pulled up 6.
Yeah, it was fun. And then he's like, that's the only 6 that were good. All right, man. You gotta love Twitter, man. You gotta love it. Sam Roberts, I do think that he's a good candidate though for coming back. Shamar Bartholomew here was one of the guys in question, right? There was a position battle that was happening with Shamar Bartholomew or a Caleb Evans, essentially. Dunk, your thoughts on the fact that they went a Caleb Evans over Shamar? Is that kind of saying we're going to put one of you on here for a number's sake, but that waiver wire, if there are 2 capable cornerbacks on that waiver wire, neither one of you is going to be a Panther come Wednesday?
B.
Or do you think that Evans won it?
I think if they can upgrade, they're going to. Samar apparently had again, we're not there. There were parts of the offseason where we were hearing his name frequently. We saw him get interceptions in some of these clips that they were doing during, I guess, OTAs or something like that. So, like, there was a run, and somewhere in between that Shaw Smith-Wade run where they were just consistently making plays. And obviously, once kind of the pads got on, we got the training camp. That's when we started hearing about Corey Thornton, and Corey Thornton really started to separate himself literally from everybody and like lap the field. All that being said, I have a sour taste in my mouth from these guys from last year. I'm very, very cool on them being gone, and if we can turn the roster again, find somebody on waivers, do it again if we have to. I'm not really. There's not anybody super. I know that guy from the Colts, I guess. Juju Brents, I guess, or somebody else that recently got it that we can maybe trying to turn for, but I'm not married to a Caleb at all. I think Thornton is the third after him. Anybody can go, and I'm open to bringing in anybody else for the behind them to see what we can do. But
anyone else just catch? You just said that Thornton's the third, and anyone else below him can go. Does that mean that you're a Shaw Smith-Wade skeptic?
I kind of in my brain now, just like there's 3 wide receivers on most people's depth chart, I just have Shaw as a nickel, and I count as a separate position. Okay. So I count him as a starter for the most part. But I do think he's
sure. Hey, I'm just making sure because the way that they're going to lay it out on the depth chart, it's going to say corner next to his name. So I had to clarify there.
Nah, I appreciate that, and I wish we could have saw a little bit more based off of the amazing offseason that he had. He seemed like he kind of tapered off a bit. We didn't really get to see it in the game action, but I
don't matter. Don't practice is the new thing.
So I forgot about that. This is the way. But I know somebody mentioned Mike Reed and stuff like that. Is it Mike? Yeah, Mike Reed. He had some versatility that I thought was decent. A lot of these guys were hit and miss. I look for flashes in preseason, right? And like, can you flash consistently? There's gonna be some inconsistencies, but are the inconsistencies like? I just don't want any part. Like, do they show up more than the flashes do? And so I just think in that cornerback room, there's a lot to be desired. Unfortunately,
I'm just confused because no one on the beat really talked about Evans, and I don't recall seeing 29 out on that preseason field much in flash. So like that one just threw me off. I think they're all shitty. Like those 2 guys are both terrible, and I don't want them starting. But like it just didn't make a lot of sense when he made the cut. I don't know.
I wonder how much of it was what a Caleb showed to earn that spot, or how much of Shamar showed to earn the cut. Because honestly, Shamar had a handful of really tough watches for reps in a couple of those preseason games, like tough ones that you go back to that Atlanta Week 18 game, right? And you can highlight a lot of their best plays of the game. You're going to see Bartholomew on the back of the jersey. And I'm not trying to like ridicule the guy or anything. Like he's a depth player who was asked to play against like a guy like Drake London, who's a good football player, right? Now they did have Michael Penix Jr., who's we don't even know if he's a good football player right now. That was gotten him up, which is a good thing for them though. They didn't play him, so no one else has to know if he's a good football player or not. That'll be a surprise for everyone, including Atlanta, come week 1. But yeah, the Mike Reed making the practice squad, I'd be cool with that. I thought Mike Reed looked good in the second and third game. I thought Mike Reed struggled in the first game, got his feet under him a little bit. Trevion Thomas is a guy that I actually enjoyed. I know that we've talked about this. I brought him up as well. We talked about this group chat, but you know, we're all in and we speak to each other about some of this stuff. And I thought that Trevion played a fast brand of football. I thought that he looked comfortable out there. He's a guy that I'd like to see back on the practice squad if possible. Let's talk about these vested veterans. Now, we've already gotten to Hunter Renfrow. You see Raheem Blackshear waived injury settlement. But Shy Tuttle, that had to be the guy, or at least one of the guys, right? That as Panthers fans, we were literally just like staring at your phone or staring at the computer, hitting that refresh button. And you're like, when am I going to get that notification about Shy Tuttle? Because I said when they released the first initial depth chart, that meant absolutely nothing. I mean, this initial depth chart was one of the most unofficial things you'll ever see in your life, but it didn't have Shy Tuttle as the first nose tackle. And I'd never felt like more happy. It was like I had a second son or something. Like I was jubilant about the fact that they had learned a lesson and they were going to move on from whatever mistake they had made. This is not an indictment on Shy either. Shy can probably play a different position on a different team and a different defense, maybe in a different year or something like that. But for us right now in 2025 as a nose tackle, in a Giro Evero system, it just wasn't going to work, man. So Shy Tuttle going, Bobby Brown, the concern there is the health. But you look at what they did do with the defensive line. They kept Jaden Crumbity too. I thought that was a little bit interesting. Dunk, Curtis, let's start with you, Curtis. What was your instant reaction to Shy Tuttle being gone? And is there any other names? Chris Barnes and John Radigan are on there as well. Boogie Basham, I'm not super surprised by that. But Chris Barnes and John Radigan, I actually had both making the 53 for me. I thought that both were great special teams players, and that Chris had a little bit of experience as a starting linebacker for the Packers. And John Radigan, I thought, was probably the third, maybe even second best linebacker in the preseason action, which doesn't matter.
Yeah, Shy Tuttle, I think we're all happy on that one. It's been too damn long, and finally Carolina beefs that front to get rid of him. The one for me that I kind of was scratching my head about was Chris Barnes, because I thought he brought some leadership and some experience to that very thin linebacker room, and he showed flashes in preseason. I thought, if Roseboom were to go down, he would be the other guy to carry the green dot if that were to happen. So that one didn't make a whole hell of a lot of sense to me. I still think that room is super thin. They only carried 4 guys, and I could honestly see them add either through waivers or some sort of trade, like a Mike Jackson type trade right before the season. I don't know. I just think that room is very thin right now. So that was probably the biggest head scratcher for me out of these couple here. I'm glad to see, and I'm curious what Dunk thinks on this, because I don't know where he stands with Blackshear, but I was happy they made this cut. I think it was time, and I know Blackshear had the stats to back it up a little bit with the special teams, but I thought that was a little inflated with how many touches he got in the return game. But I was happy to see them move on from him as well, because I didn't think he added much value in that running back room. But out of the list you just showed, that was probably the couple of takeaways I had.
So there's the linebacker depth chart, and the Panthers have updated their site, so you can see that they've got people removed that are no longer on the roster, and they have things kind of put in certain ways. Dunk, you got Trevin Wallace and Christian Roseboom. Those are your starters. Bam Martin Scott made the team. Congratulations, Curtis. You were one of the only ones that had that. I guess the Panthers valued the laying on the ground sometimes and missing and being kind of lost in coverage as much as you.
Let's pull some of those clips you got. Come on.
No, you pull them, Curtis. This is your guy.
I don't got the membership.
But Dunk, what does this tell you, man? They carried 4, and these are the 4 that they carried. Do you think that this is a situation? So obviously this isn't Jalen Coker, right, where you make the roster initially. But Bam Martin Scott might be one of those guys that they put on this initial 53. But depending on what happens with that waiver wire, there are guys out there, and we've got a graphic that we'll put up later that has a couple of names. There are guys out there that if they can sign 2 or 3, maybe they're just trying to figure out a way to slide Bam into the practice squad on that second run, because they didn't want someone to have seen his special teams contributions and say, hey, we'll take a chance on this guy out of South Carolina. He's a fast, big, athletic guy, played in an SEC defense. Do you think that that's the case, or do you think that they really like Bam Martin Scott?
It has to be the former, man. I just didn't see it. And he flashed at times. I think he had a nice play on granted it was against Plummer at FanFest, where he caught a nice pick. And but in coverage, man, and that's kind of the big thing for a lot of young linebackers, just route recognition and being disciplined in your zones. It just wasn't there, man. It wasn't. And he might have had 1 or 2 flashes there, but I just didn't see enough for him to make the 53. I thought he was an ideal practice squad candidate. I thought he made some plays on special teams, but the Chris Barnes thing took me back. I was like, okay, this is kind of a shocker, because Barnes flashed a little bit, man. He's experienced. He's has starting experience at that, and you're not asking him to be your starter. He's a depth piece. So it's okay, I thought he was a shoe-in for this group, but it feels like Bam may be the first man out. Sherrillis, I'm not sure where his health is. I think he's healthy, I guess, now. I know he dealt with some injuries a little bit earlier during the process of the offseason. Well, I guess training camp and stuff. But that kind of got me too. Radigan was a little bit of a shocker as well. I thought he had some nice rushes ever so often. He kind of He kind of rushed with a motor that I think we don't really see from a lot of our linebackers. Not that it's saying a lot. So that was a little bit of a shocker. But shot total, man. I put out a tweet saying that I might throw something on the grill, and like I'm looking at it now, it has 775 likes. So everybody was either agreeing with me, or inviting themselves to the cookout, and asking me what they needed to bring. I'm telling y'all, when we had this cookout, you ain't got to bring nothing. And if DJ Johnson gets cut, it's a block party, so you ain't gotta bring none of that either. I'm telling you. So, but nah, I agree. I mean, and he got signed by the Titans today, so like that was super fast. One of the few guys in the NFL that literally already have a team. Obviously, he's a vested vet, so you have to go through waivers.
That was
but
crazy.
One of the few guys. Yeah, and this is a group that has what? I mean, like apparently the Titans guy that I follow, he said that he'll be their 5th defensive tackle.
DT5, yeah.
Yep. So it's not like he's going to be challenging.
He
Justin
played at
Simmons.
Tennessee though, like in college, didn't he?
Okay, so that makes sense. Going back to Nashville.
I guess, like, but if that was the case, then like, wouldn't I don't buy that one. I don't buy that one. Sean Tuttle ain't played college in like 6-7 years, man. He's got a lot of NFL tape on since then.
The Houston game was bad, bro. Like when that one, I mean, obviously they put Derek in for one drive, and we got it was a very fortunate 3 and out, but we got a 3 and out. But like the way they moved the ball with the run, right? Literally, they ran at him every play, and you could see him getting moved every play. Like literally no anchor at all. Whether he was single block, double block, it just hasn't worked since we've done it. And it was always funny to me. People were asking about like why I know when we first kind of the 3-4 came up, people were wondering if we would put Derek at nose because Derek is actually bigger than Shy. Like I think Derek's 320, Shy's like 300, and so it's
everything else.
Yeah, like it was weird. But we do a lot of weird things on defense. Yep. But all that being said, I always feel bad for guys when they take pay cuts and then they end up getting cut as well, because it's a cold business, man. So I never advise any player, good or bad, to take a pay cut just because your life in this league is short. But I mean, he did, and it didn't work out for him long term. But he bounced back very quickly. So I just don't shed a tear for Shy Tuttle. If anybody out there shed a tear,
if I could jump in, Ricky, I'm gonna split. Dunk, I appreciate you coming on tonight. I got a dip.
No doubt.
You guys have a great conversation. I'll see y'all later.
Curtis is out in Wisconsin, right?
Yes.
Yeah, yep. Curtis is out in Wisconsin on vacation. He just joined us for a second. Yeah. Appreciate it.
All right, man.
I'll see y'all later.
Easy, brother. Yes, sir.
So you mentioned Claude Sherless too, right? And I'm gonna fix the layout a little bit so that we're not sitting here, 4 of us. All right. You mentioned Claude Sherless. It just went right back to where it was. I appreciate that, StreamYard. Thank you for making me look like an asshole. Claude Sherless had his injury, right? And we know that they really liked his special teams contributions, and I guess that's why he made it. But I just thought that Chris Barnes and I thought that John Radigan, I thought Jacoby Windman showed enough on the special team side of things, let alone the defensive side where they actually played reps, that the Sherless, like keeping him in Bam was just really strange to me, man. And it's the one position group that I think I'm having a hard time like making sense of, because it just doesn't match anything that I saw. And maybe this is the whole practice means more, because these guys must have been phenomenal in practice. I mean, like sensational in practice, because it was just really tough for me to see it happen. Now, do we want to get into the secondary a little bit? We got, the safeties are exactly who we thought they were going to be, right? Bryson, is there any surprise on the 4 safeties that were kept?
No. I mean, unfortunately, I wish there was. That was listed.
Let's go up to the offense then, because I think that and we've got, like, we didn't even speak about the defensive line or the outside linebackers, but I think that this was a relatively easy thing to know as well. Now, LeBrian Ray, he's going to be on short-term IR if I read that correctly. He's still dealing with something, so it's going to be Jaden Crumity, Cam Jackson at the back of that line, Ashawn, Turk, DB, Bobby Brown. Bobby being listed as a defensive end instead of, the middle, the anchor in the middle has always been a strange thing to me too. And that happened after the first depth chart. Everyone said there was no changes, but Bobby was the first tackle for that. So that was weird. Outside linebackers, DJ Johnson. So they kept 6. To me, what that tells me is DJ Johnson being kept is sort of we know who we're going to cut. When this comes down to the waiver wire, we know the easy cut in this room. And maybe Jaden Crumity is the second easy cut. Or maybe, the fourth tight end. But I actually think they like James Mitchell. We'll get to that. But some of these players just look like the target on their back, right, when it comes to the waiver wire. Because there are going to be guys that we put up that are going to offer some things that maybe these other guys on this depth chart don't offer. Bryson, what are your thoughts about let's move up to the offense because the defensive we're good. Let's move up to the offense. Your thoughts about Bryson Tremaine making it David Moore and the way that wide receiver room is set. Would Dave Canales and Dan Morgan be interested in a guy like Trey Palmer, who they have familiarity with because he drafted him, or he was the offensive coordinator when they drafted him in Tampa Bay last year?
Yeah, I mean, if we're going off of his history with based off of relationships with wide receivers, I would assume there's some interest there in Trey Palmer from Dave Canales. I think someone retweeted a comment about Canales talking about Palmer's, attitude, being upbeat, always like bringing a happy sentiment to the wide receiver room. So I would assume there might be some interest there, but I don't know if that's like a move they would make at this point. I think they love that wide receiver room. We've talked about it all off season. One of the deepest rooms on the team, but yeah, man, as it sits right now, Bryson Tremaine, I think, flashed, right? Like he was good at.
Did he? Like how strong do y'all feel about Bryson Tremaine? I gotta get a heat check.
So the one chance I got to see him in person, well, I guess the first chance I got, I saw him twice, but the first chance I got at FanFest, he had a pretty good showing at FanFest. There's no really qualms about that. In the preseason first game against the Browns, I don't really remember seeing him much, but I think I don't know if this is like the team going off of like what happened last season with Coker and be like, hey man, we found another one. Like Bryson Tremaine might be the next Coker, and like them kind of riding those vibes again into this season. Because if it was up to me, it would be Hunter Renfrow there instead of Tremaine. But yeah, I mean, I think there's. I don't know if they were worried about cutting him and him getting claimed. I mean, that's not something I'd be stressing about personally.
Yeah, do y'all think that was it? Like, you think that the NFL would have been looking at Bryson Tremaine and seen his name come across and been like, oh, yeah, that's what we're looking for.
Listen, man, I love his first name. I think that's a great first name, but I think that's about the extent of my love for him. I would be perfectly fine with Bryson Tremaine on the practice squad.
Dunk, Bryson Tremaine.
He did flash. He's huge. First of all, he's 6'4", 212 is what I'm seeing right here, and I'm just parting my eyes. I'm on the Googles right now because I wanted to confirm this before I said it. And somebody brought this point up. I don't know how old he is. He was born in 99, so he's seasoned. He spent last year on the practice squad with the Commanders, so there was overlap with him between Brad Izzik and him at Stanford, right? So there's a connection there. Somebody made the David Moore, Dave Canales parallel joint for them when they made this comparison. So take that for a grain of salt. I don't know how close they were, but obviously there's some.
Calling him a Nepo baby? A Carolina Nepo baby?
I didn't say it, but I do like
somebody else might have alluded to it.
Yeah, I didn't know that nugget until today, but I like what I saw from him, man. He's huge. He's been running with the first team a couple times. He had a nice long catch on a starting corner against the Texans, Lassiter. He's the preseason. He had a nice showing and against the Texans as well, catching a nice seam pass. And he didn't play against the Browns, so that was kind of a thing like, okay, this guy actually may make it. And then he plays special teams as well, and we know that's huge. My concerns about special teams overall are kind of high. I don't know how you guys feel about it.
Yeah, what's your concerns there? Like, let's get into that because I think that's a good segue. Is Bryson Tremaine? I mean, what is he doing for you special teams? And we know that they say with the bottom of the wide receiver room, right, and also the bottom of the linebacker room, the bottom of the tight end room, the bottom of the safety room. These are usually your guys that compile and build your special teams unit. So is Bryson Tremaine, David Moore, James Mitchell, Bam Martin Scott, I guess Claude Sherless. Like, how do you feel about that unit?
I mean, they're core 4 guys. They're going to have to be, and Tremaine especially. But I just don't feel like we have that ace right now. I thought
Did we have it? They got cut.
Sam was kind of that guy before. Obviously, that was last year. And there were some flashes from Incoom. So I think he's going to be a guy that we lean on as well. But I'm not sure, man. It feels like they're still trying to find their way with the unit, finding roles for guys. And so I think that might have played a factor in the why Renfro was let go as well, just because they need all hands on deck right now until they kind of sort themselves out in terms of that front. And Barno, somebody mentioned Barno. Barno was a guy last year that played a lot of special teams. This guy was huge. He was fast for a guy his size. Like he was 4'3" at the combine, and he was 250 pounds. So that's not normal.
Get on a field goal blocking unit as well, right?
Yeah, So like you get your athletes like that, but I think that played a factor a lot in this, and it's a legit phase of the game, man. So you have to take it serious. We'll see how things sort itself out. Of course, I think we still have some issues with kicker that we're going to sort out. I think that could be something that we bring up on the waiver wire if we talk about that later. But some of the coverage units, man, I talked about it in the chat. I'm like, I wasn't really impressed with the punt team. The coverage was okay, I guess, but like I felt like the kicker outkicked the coverage a lot of times, and so I went down a PFF rabbit hole for punters, and I didn't even know they kept.
Shout out you on that because that was some great information.
Yeah, the hang time, because back in my day, I'll go on the old man on the porch. We used to put hang time on the screen during games, so we knew how long the ball was in there. There was an actual running clock, a stopwatch, but Sam Martin was not great with hang time. His net was bad because when you don't have a lot of hang time, your coverage unit can't get down there, and then guys can return your punts a lot more often. And so I think that's something that needs to work on. That can be worked out in practice with strategy and just like just having meetings and stuff like that. But all that being said, Bryson Tremaine, I like the flashes. He's huge. He can play inside. He has that connection with Stanford. With Izzy, it made a lot of sense for me. From that standpoint, that he would stick around, and I think a lot of the young guys that were like fringe, he flashed more consistent than anybody else. So, it makes sense.
Bryson, what do you think about special teams? Do you think that that's a place that would you bring Sam Franklin back? Let's just get to it, right? Because J Sports 49 brought this up in the chat. Bring Sam Franklin back, and Dunk, you just mentioned it. That this was our ace, right? A couple years back. Well, he just got released by the Denver Broncos, and he doesn't have to clear waivers, right? Vested veteran. He could go where he wants to right now. Should Carolina call him and be like, "Hey, man, sorry about that whole thing. We saw what we did now."
Hey, big head.
Hey, you up? You up, man?
I think this is probably one of the most.
Have Nick Scorton and Princely text him and tell him good night or something.
I think this is like one of the most obvious like connections here in regards to like waiver wire vested veteran cuts for Carolina. They're lacking on special teams. I agree with Dunk, man. It's an area of concern. I don't think there's a whole lot of depth there. They cut a couple of players that I thought shined. Wyndham, and especially, I thought he was impressive. But yeah, I think Franklin, I would bring him back, and I would cut Nick Scott for Franklin's spot. I mean, I think, in my opinion, he's the closest to the next cut from what we've seen from him. So. He replaces Scott in that room, and then you move Ransom up to starter or whatever. I mean, Damani Richardson, whoever you want to put there, can't get any worse in Nick Scott's spot. So yeah, I would absolutely call Sam Franklin and say, hey, come on back, man. We need you.
What happened? Like, why didn't, was there bad blood? Was like, what happened? I know he was a walking personal foul last year for a little bit because that's just how he play. He literally plays on the edge. What makes him good at what he does is, the drawback as well. Like, what I'm saying? So like, it kind of comes with the territory, but at the same time,
he did the line pretty decent. I thought. I didn't think that he stepped over it. Like, he wasn't like a habitual line stepper where every single game you're getting 15 from him.
No, he wasn't. But we have such a low bar for room for error for our team that, like, especially offense, when you're talking like a return team or, you know what I'm saying, or like a coverage team, like especially with our defense, you can't give them spotting them extra 15 yards. It may not make a big difference last year, at least, or whenever, but it's huge. But I just didn't know if there was any kind of bad blood, if just like it was a thank you for your service. He was just like, I'm looking for a chance to start, and so he left. But another thing about safety, Nick Scott, if he's going to be a starter, does that take him off of special teams? Because we were sold that, oh, he's just going to be a depth player that plays special teams when they sign him. Because I think the fans freaked out when we re-signed him, like, what the hell? But like the people that try to sell us on everything downplayed it and just said he was going to be a depth guy and he's going to be there for special teams. And here we are a couple months later. He's a starter, and a lot of times starters do not play special teams, at least not heavy.
Yeah, well, is that possibly a? I was trying to think of the right way to word this, and then you finished your point quicker than I could compute in my brain. Is that maybe some? No. It's good. I got to be sharper, man. Season's over, dude. I got to get in the regular season form here. Is that maybe some sort of almost like innuendo or window into the fact that maybe he's not the starter to start the season because they are like, hey, look, he earned the veteran respect of us putting him in that designation for the time being because you got rookies behind him, right? Rookies, and then Damani Richardson, a second-year undrafted free agent. We didn't want them to just be handed these jobs. We wanted them to earn them, or at least have the perception that they earn them. I think that Lathan did enough that I would feel very comfortable taking my bumps and bruises with Lathan Ransom in the regular season, letting him learn on the job. But is that also maybe them saying, hey, look, we are going to actually have one of these other guys playing because Nick Scott, you're a good communicator, but you're more valuable to us in special teams. I don't know, man. Am I wrong about that?
Yeah.
I mean, Lathan's a core 4 guy as well. He did that in Ohio State.
Yeah. And then when Nick Scott's bumping into ETN when he's trying to field a punt, I'm like, I don't even really want this guy on special teams either. But I think the Panthers tweeted out something today. I was like, oh, okay. Like they did something like sky's the limit. And it was like Merrick and Lathan Ransom together. Like, okay. Like I think I know where we're going with this.
It was like the Step Brothers like picture on the movie cover, right? Like they were like, these guys are together, man. Like it seemed intentional, man.
Yeah, I think I know where we're going with this, but I need to see it. Like I need commitment to Ransom as the starter to feel any better than I do right now. But yeah, man, Nick Scott needs to play special teams if he's on this team at all, and he does not need to be a starter. He really doesn't. And I hope they know that. I really do. I don't think they're this blind to the fact of what we saw last season from him. In a starting role for a little bit, and then. One off season of him communicating well on the field and training camp earns him a starting spot again. I really hope that's not the case.
Yeah. Before we move into this next slide here that has all the names on the waiver wire, it's already been up, so people I'm sure have already read it. Is there anything else y'all want to touch on with the 53? I know you spoke a little bit about the kicker competition, Dunk, and Fitzgerald won that competition, or at least, beat out Matthew Wright. We won't say that he won the position, but he did beat out Matthew Wright for the initial landing spot. Is that something that you see? We just saw Sauls for Pittsburgh in the last preseason game. We saw what they did, and they just waived him, so he's going to be available. Is that a position that you upgrade, or do you feel comfortable taking a chance on Fitzgerald, who had a great last year at Florida State? But, he had some inconsistencies prior to that, and he showed some inconsistencies in the preseason, at least from all the beat reporting. Are you nervous about that? Does that feel like a Harrison Mevis thing again, or what's your vibe on that?
Yeah, these guys are head cases, man. You just really never know what you're going to get. Like sometimes us cutting them is like the wake up call they need, so they're just going to put a middle finger to the league and end up being elite kickers. And sometimes they end up being Joey Sly. But I think if they have a chance to upgrade, they will. I think they feel comfortable with Fitzgerald, especially out of the two that they had. But I don't think that it's a position that they should be comfortable with where they are. I don't think any of the guys separated themselves early enough for it to be a big deal for them to say, hey, man, we feel good about this guy. I just think it was obvious at that point, but it wasn't like you feel great about it just because of what we've seen. And obviously they were kicking on the skinny post all camp hoop, which I thought was just some Jedi ninja trick to
Yeah.
like get these guys good. But then come to find out it's just because the construction. Like it's the goalposts were easier to move. So
there wasn't enough room for fans or for an actual NFL goalpost. Like this was all David Tepper's master plan to hone in the skills of a kicker by not having fans at training camp. Look at that.
Or preparing them for arena football where the goalposts are narrow as well.
Where so many Carolina Panthers have seemed to end up anyways.
But the only thing I'll say about the 53, man, is like, I think it's kind of cool that the O-line group is back completely. There's like obviously the center battle sorted itself out, but like it's rare to get the whole group back, the top 9. And I really didn't feel heartbroken about any of the guys that they cut. I know you mentioned Kingston's versatility. I feel a lot better about him in some places than the other. I'll say that.
No doubt. Not at center. Don't want him at center.
Yeah. And so, but I wasn't, if they can bring somebody in for a 10th, I don't see them doing that, but you never can have too much depth there. But so it was just cool to have that group back. And it's been such a problem spot for us for so many years. So to have some consistency there, I'm huge on continuity with O-line. I think that and health are what make or break any offensive line group. So it's just good that we'll have that. Hopefully we can hit the ground running, man, with this run game, because we really couldn't get it going during preseason. So hopefully we get things going pretty early, but just cool to have that group back. So I want to shout them out.
What an advantage to have the guys like Cade Mays, Brady Christensen, right? That can, and even Chandler Zavala to an extent, that have such versatility from an alignment and position standpoint that you can keep 9, but have a backup tackle, a backup guard, and a backup center built in within the same player. Because honestly, like you would have to use another roster spot if you didn't feel as comfortable as I get the feeling they feel with a guy like Brady Christensen. Now, I wasn't a huge fan, Dunk, of how Brady Christensen looked as a left tackle. I'm just not a gigantic fan of that. I really don't care for him as a right tackle either. I like him inside. I think that he probably could be your second center and let Cade Mays even be a right tackle before I would put Brady out there, like if you want my honest opinion. But I do think that versatility, I think that's really cool. Zavala has had his ebbs and flows, his ups and downs. He's not a finished product, but they see something in Chandler Zavala that they believe in. And one thing you could say, this is a developmental coaching staff. They've said it over and over. We've seen some of it work. They want to get their paws on Chandler Zavala and turn him into a finished product. So I'm with you, man. That continuity on that unit, though, is a huge, huge advantage, and one that the Panthers fans and team are completely strangers of for the last decade of football outside of Taylor Moton. So that is a really.
I don't think Chandler will ever be a starter, man. But like from where he was, dude, like, and I've always poop on. I'll try to keep it PG. PFF's grading, but he was literally my brand is being PG, and I don't love the kids, so people know me for that. I gotta be consistent. But for where he was, he was the worst, literally the worst graded guard in PFF history, and they turned him into serviceable. Right? He started that final game with Big Bob out, against the Falcons, and we ran for a lot of yards. He's not elite. He's not great. He's not good. But literally, when you're a backup lineman, you just need serviceable because you're just trying to survive until the starter gets back, and then you can do what you want to do. But I think he's far beyond where he was as a rookie, man. And I'm just happy to see the development. I always love development. Patience is always hard. But he's actually picked himself up off the mat, and he's a good backup for us. And I can ask for
anyone listening, fellas, especially men, don't use that as like a Hallmark card for your sweetie or anything on a birthday or a Mother's Day. Like, you're not elite, you're not great, not even good, but you know what? You're serviceable, and I love you, babies.
Hey.
Thank you. That's Dunk's poem about offensive lineman reserve, but leave it as an offensive lineman reserve soliloquy.
Nah, don't put that on the card.
Yeah, don't put that on no card. Not at all. All right, let's get into this. Look, this graphic that we have here, these are just some names that I picked out. These aren't all the names. These aren't all the things. And these are all for positions. I didn't put offensive line. I didn't put quarterback. I didn't put wide receiver, running back. There are other players out there, and there are other positions that I am sure that this Carolina Panthers team and organization will look into, right? and should look into. They, every stone, turn every stone. But these are positions that I think we can all agree: inside linebacker, cornerback, safety, edge, nickel. I got a couple nickels on here. These are guys that, for me, just from a positional standpoint, stood out to me on cut day and will be available. Dunk, was there anyone that you saw? I'll start with you, and then when you're done, Bryson, let me get your input on this. Anyone that you saw his name come across your ticker today, and you kind of put an asterisk, whether it was a mental one or, on your notebook, and you're like, all right, that's somebody that I'm interested. That's somebody that I think fits what Carolina does. That's somebody that I think fits their physical preferences, because we know that this is a staff that does value that kind of thing. Anyone that stood out to you today?
Braden Swinson, 1000%. Pre-draft crush of mine. Had one of the, I think it was top 3 pass rush win rate at LSU last year. Has the arm length. We did a 30 visit with him. He fell to the 5th, I think, because of coaching issues. I heard he got into it with a position coach at LSU. I don't know if those issues are still lingering now with the Patriots. The Patriot way is looking very, very weird right now. They've cut a lot of a lot of draft picks, recent draft picks at that. I've looked up on Twitter doing high level stuff. I didn't do any deep dives, but I saw some pretty solid cut-ups that tells me that he's definitely better than DJ Johnson. Again, we met with a guy pre-draft. We brought him in on a 30 visit. You guys know how much weight they put into those things. And this could have been something that they wanted to check out his character because of what they heard. So it could have just been something like that. But at the same time, it's not everything, but it's not nothing. So I think Braden Swinson is a guy at edge that even if you throw him in there in place of DJ Johnson, he doesn't have to be. I'm not saying put him in a rotation. I'm not saying do whatever. He's shown nice power for a guy his size. He can still add about 5 or 10 pounds. I think he's 250 and be fine. He's had some solid run reps on tape as well. Apparently they said that he tapered off and really didn't do a ton. Again, he was a 5th round pick, so you're expendable, especially in with the way the Patriots are doing business now. But Braden Swinson is my top guy. I know Beanie Bishop is the guy that has a production at nickel, and then Chris Paul Jr. is another household name as far as the pre-draft process from that Owens defense. That I think linebacker, especially somebody that's young, that I wouldn't mind kicking the tires on as well. So I don't know. I don't know what else you guys have, but Braden Swinson was my number 1 guy because I was big on him in the draft process.
Yeah, I really like Swinson as well in that draft process. And you mentioned that 30 visit. I do think that they put a ton of weight into that. They value that absolutely. But before I move any further, we have almost 1,400 people listening right now. We are doing a giveaway that we posted earlier today. Ricky, I don't know if he's going to grab it or not. He sometimes moves his camera, but sometimes not. There it is. Musu Muhammad signed jersey framed with some cool little pictures on the bottom.
Nice.
Please, if you subscribe and send us proof, you can tweet us a picture on Twitter on the tweet that Panthers on Tap Twitter sent today. Then you are entered. We are giving away next week. I've been tasked with keeping track of all the entries, so if I miss you, I'm sorry, but I'm going to try my very best. I think the numbers have gone up significantly since that post for the entries, but you still have a good shot to win because, there's really not that many fans right now, unfortunately. But that's going to build.
That was a dream.
Season.
Nice job, Bryson.
I wholeheartedly believe that. So yeah, please subscribe and then send us proof, and you're entered, and you have a chance to win that really cool giveaway that Ricky so graciously has offered to give away. I think in regards to some of the guys listed here, I still believe the weakest position on the team is inside linebacker. I think that room on paper is one of the worst in the league, and it's not looking great, going into week 1. So, there's been the chatter about Chad Muma, out of Jacksonville. I know fans there weren't a big fan of him. He's had some struggles there, but I believe he's better than Bam Martin Scott or Claude and Cherilus here in Carolina. And then Dunk, you mentioned Chris Paul Jr. I think that was more of a surprise cut, and I think it would be an intriguing prospect here in our room. So I think those are 2 of the guys that stood out. But I agree with you wholeheartedly. I like Swinson in the draft. I think he's better than DJ Johnson, like you mentioned. I don't think that's a very high bar, but I think he brings at least some upside to that position where
Exactly.
Johnson does not. So I would I would do some movement there with those three guys I mentioned.
I think you could look at just about everybody on the outside linebacker edge line here in this graphic, right? And there are other guys out there that maybe they like better. But I looked for guys that had like just something, actual juice to them, man. Like, I just feel like that's an element that is still missing from the defense, is a difference maker, like a disruptor. It doesn't, and Nick Scorton and Princely, I believe in wholeheartedly, will get to that point. Nick, we got to make sure that he's healthy. You know that I was a big fan of Nick Scorton in the pre-draft process. I think very highly of what he is and can be. But you also don't see teams like the Eagles that just rush 4, right? You don't see them only having 4 defensive linemen or 2 outside, rush backers. That's not what you see in their Rolodex. They have guys like Jalix Hunt that they drafted strictly for the point of when it is third down, pin your ears back, and they've been getting hell from the Eagles rush backers for the first 2 downs. You bring in that madman with fresh legs. Like that, it's an approach that makes so much sense, and I don't understand why it's not mimicked a little bit more. And so when I look at guys like Antoine Powell-Ryland, who actually was on the Eagles and who had a couple nice moments for the Eagles, he had a nice strip sack in one of the games. Oh, really? He's got clear speed and finishing aggressiveness. The question is, what is his strength and what is his threshold to be able to be more than strictly a DPR, right? But for this team, for Carolina, we don't have a DPR. We have a DPES. We have a designated pass edge setter. Like, we don't need DJ Johnson as a DES. We don't need it.
Nope.
Like, we've got Pat Jones that is supposed to be able to do that, right? Like, that was the idea between Pat Jones. Sure, he's a cleanup artist. He can also get a little bit of pressure on the quarterback, but he can man that position on the early downs, and you're not going to be completely terrified of him being out there. DJ Wadham's supposed to be able to. Nick Scorton will be able to do that. Nick Scorton is a good run defender. He can set the edge. He's a physical football player. We need guys that can make quarterbacks uncomfortable, for crying out loud. Mo Camara can do it. Nate Lynn was a menace for the Detroit Lions. I don't know if you guys watch much Nate Lynn. I went back, and after I saw a handful of people that I trust talking about Nate Lynn, went back and I watched his reps. This dude has it, man. Like, he seems like one of those guys that in 2 years, you're going to see him have like a 7-sack season in the NFL, and you're just going to be like, where did this guy come from? And the writing's going to be all over the wall in his preseason performances.
Where did he come from?
Man, I can't even remember the college he came from, to be honest.
Well, wait a minute, like what pro team was he on?
The Lions.
Oh, the Lions, okay.
Yeah, he's with the Lions. 23 years old. 23 years old. I'm trying to see. I didn't have anything else written down about him. Oh, William and Mary. Yeah, played at William and Mary. So he's a small school guy, 6 foot, almost 6'3", 253 pounds, 31-inch arms. So he's not super big, right? Like he doesn't have necessarily the prototypical size that we look at in a Zero Evero scheme. But I'll tell you another thing, man, Dunk and Bryson, I don't know if y'all feel the same way as I do about this. I'm not looking at just a Zero Evero scheme anymore, especially not this season. If I'm Dan Morgan and Dave Canales, I am not looking at this and saying we need to plan for, a Zero to be here for another season. We need to find guys that fit that system. That system may not be for long. We'll see if it even lasts 17 games this season. I don't know. I honestly cannot call that, but I would not be mortgaging good players for someone that just fits that system.
Let me ask you this. Do you think you don't think we would not keep, but find another guy? It seems like he's put on record that he's not married, but he likes the scheme. Anytime they ask him about a Jiro's job status, he always says, I like the scheme. I like the scheme. I like the scheme. He never really, and he's very choosy. He's choosy with his words. He never says anything concrete about Evero. He always says he likes the scheme. It's giving me trouble. We faced each other in the past. It gave me trouble. This system always gave me trouble as a play caller. I just think there's things that it does that gives me difficulty. And so I think that he's married to the scheme more so than the coach. So I don't think that, and Jiro may have his type within that, because we look at the Eagles, they drafted some guys that are way outside of the thresholds that we have. Right. So it may just be him from a philosophical standpoint, but I think that we're going to be a 3-4 odd front team, even beyond Ejiro personally,
Yes, 100%. I wouldn't move off of the 3-4 philosophy as the base defense. I wouldn't move off of needing a rush backer that can play that outside linebacker edge. I wouldn't look for a hands in the dirt 4-3 end, to pick up on the waiver wires and stash for next year. Like, that's not what I would do. But I think that if Evero is the one that has some of these physical thresholds, right? Like when you look at it, you just talked about like what the Eagles bring in. They bring in players like a Nolan Smith, right? Like even like a Jalen Hunt that are completely different body types, but that fit roles. Like Nolan Smith fits a wide 9 role. He doesn't fit a condensed down into a 5 tech if he need be. Like that's not where you want Nolan Smith to play. He's not going to be effective there, right? They literally they bring in players that do roles. They don't bring in positions. And that's a really smart approach. And so when I look at this, that's what I would do. If I had Nate Lynn or Mo Kamara, because I loved Mo Kamara coming out last year.
Me too.
He was a really dynamic, good get off, quick, relentless motor. That's the kind of player that I would bank on. And Antoine Powell Ryland reminds me of that a little bit. Now you guys talked about the corners a little bit, and one of the guys in here is Juju Brents, who Dunk you said by name, right?
Yeah,
I was a huge fan of him coming out of Kansas State. 6'3", 210 pounds, physical specimen, and honestly, man, when he's been healthy, he's looked pretty damn good. He's looked talented, man, but he can't stay healthy.
Okay. Yeah, you've done the homework more than me on some of these guys. I always think about the why. Like, why are they being cut? Obviously, we have a reason for all our guys, but our guys suck. So when we let go of guys, they're typically either going to Birmingham. When I reference Birmingham, that's them going to the XFL, the UFL. Like that's my thing. So they either going to Birmingham or like they're selling insurance the following year. I think Edgar put up a phenomenal graphic that just is a sobering reality of where we are 2 years ago, showing our roster and how many guys are not in the league anymore. So that's typically what happens. So I'm wondering, like, what's the why behind why these guys? And you answered my question with Juju Brents. I wasn't familiar. And that's the first thing I try to look for with these guys when they hit the waiver wire. Like, what happened? Like, are they stuck behind vets? Especially with their rookies, like Braden Swinson. That was like a red flag for me initially, even though I like him. But again, I read that he's behind some vets and he didn't really flash as much as they would have liked. But to me, he has upside. We have a guy like DJ Johnson, like Bryson said, that doesn't really have upside. He's 26 years old, whatever he is. So, like, I always look for the why. So, I guess if you did the homework on these guys, so are there any whys that are concerning for you?
Yeah, well, the Juju Brents, that's the thing. And here's the Edgar post, but let me switch back to this other one while we talk about this. The Juju Brents is an exact example of like someone that I want so badly to see them take a chance on because I know the talent is there. He was one of my favorites in that pre-draft period. I wrote articles for Cat Crave about why he should have came to the Panthers then, why he should have been the Panthers' second-round pick then. Like, I was a big Julius Brents fan. He has missed so much time, man, like just so much time. And it's soft tissues. It's stuff that are really difficult to completely overlook and get over. And when you have those kinds of things, I think it was a foot injury as well. Like, it's all lower extremity, and it just starts making you really nervous when a guy that is carrying that kind of height as well, that frame, very high cut, long legs, it worries me a little bit, man. But then when you got guys, let's pivot for a second and look at a Chris Paul Jr., right? Pooh Paul Jr. out of Ole Miss this past draft season. One of the more polarizing prospects because he's a smaller guy. He's diminutive, man. And so he would be a physical outlier for what this regime looks at, especially Dan Morgan. From a defensive standpoint, you look at the rest of his inside linebackers that he's brought in, even Christian Roseboom, Trevor Wallace are great indicators of this. Josie Jewell, hell, anyone that he's brought in at that position are 6'2" and above, 6'2 and a half, 6'3", 235 or higher, right?
Yeah.
Pooh Paul ain't that, man. He's smaller. I think he's right around 6 foot, maybe 220. Shorter arms. But dynamic player. I mean, like, he's got good tape, man, for the Rams. Like, he dealt with injuries apparently at the end of preseason. He started dealing with a little bit of injuries, and it made him a little less effective, is what I read today. But our friend Jared Feinberg covers the Rams for on SI, and talked to him multiple times about this, and he said the same, man. Chris Paul Jr. and he covers Jacksonville for the Jaguars on SI. Said Chris Paul Jr. and Chad Muma are legitimate candidates for the Panthers. Chad Muma was a favorite of mine as well coming out of Wyoming. There was a linebacker the year before him, Logan Wilson, plays for the Cincinnati Bengals. Very dynamic football player, played at a small school in the Mountain West, so a lot of people overlooked him. I thought Chad Muma was the second coming of Logan Wilson. Man, I really did. He's got a motor. He's a really good athlete, man, a very big-time plus athlete, 6'3", 237. I think he ran in like the 4.5s. Like he's got real traits, but he also, I think he kind of reminds me a little bit of Trevin last year, where the brain and the feet weren't working on the same page. And he got made foolish a couple times because of that.
That happens with any linebacker, unfortunately, when they're young.
Mm-hmm. But Chad's getting old enough to the point where you can't call him young anymore. So that's the one thing. He's been in the league, I think, 4 years.
Oh, okay.
He's gonna have his last run of people saying, "Well, he's young," you know. Anybody else that stood out for you that was released, Bryson? Any names on here? Because we didn't even talk about like Beanie Bishop started for the Steelers last year as a rookie nickel, had 4 interceptions, and then they cut him this year. And that's a player that could legitimately provide some competition and depth for the Panthers.
Yeah, I was going to say, first of all, man, you love your Kansas State cornerbacks. That's one thing for sure about you.
I do.
Jacob Parrish, who is balling.
Parrish is a baller, so
balling in Tampa, right? That's where he ended up going.
Yeah,
unfortunately. Kobe Bryant, I think is interesting. There was a lot of talk about him coming out. He played at Kansas, I think.
Yep. With Mello Dotson that we just played.
And he was cut. I think that name's interesting. But yeah, you talk about Beanie Bishop, the 4 interceptions for the Steelers, them moving on from him. I don't think that position, we give you shit, Ricky, about Shaw Smith-Wade and your disdain for him. And I think
don't listen to that word disdain either.
I think Ricky was fishing for that earlier, Dunk, when he asked you about Shaw, but yeah.
I'm not a big Shaw guy either. I wouldn't call it disdain because if a guy's gonna get better, I'm here for progress. But I just was not impressed last year, personally.
Thank you. That is all I've ever said on this show. I'm like, hey, look,
Ricky is looking for it, man.
I would 100% love to see Shaw Smith-Wade turn into a All-Pro nickel. Like that, nothing would make me happier because that means that the solution is on the roster. But when I watched it, I had questions, and all I'm looking for is those questions to be answered. That's it, man. I don't doubt him. I don't hate him. But also, when I watched Jacob Parrish, like it was hard for me to see that player and say, "Yeah, no, Shaw could be that." But hey, maybe he will.
Yeah.
And I don't watch Beanie's tape, but maybe he's. I mean, and we talk about the why. Obviously, we saw in our game when they played the starters. Jalen Ramsey is going to be their starting nickel and safety / guy at his big age now. So that probably made it a little bit weird for Beanie.
Yep.
So and they tried Corey Thornton at nickel. So they're obviously looking for answers behind Shaw.
Right?
So Beanie could be a guy that we look into.
Yeah. And then you also have Arthur Mollett over there who played for the Ravens. Did a little bit of like hybrid play with safety and nickel as well over there. He got cut today, and I believe he was with the Texans. And the interesting thing about that is that he was kind of in line to be the true backup to Jalen Petrie. And all reports from camp were that he was having a really nice camp and a really nice preseason. That's a guy that at one point for the Ravens was looked at as a really good player. And I saw a lot of Ravens fans saying, bring him back, man. Like, we'll take him back. We would love to have him. And they just cut Jalen Armour Davis, the tall, speedy, lengthy corner out of Alabama.
Yeah.
And, they've got the philosophy you can never have too many corners. So maybe this is another guy that we should just kind of, like you're saying, it's not necessarily reading the tea leaves, but think about the why of why somebody was released. Start saying, like, does it mean that guy's not a good player or that he's kind of like falling off of a cliff? Or does it mean that their situation around them has changed a little bit? And this was just a move that was made for the franchise that doesn't have any necessarily like condemnation on the player that's out, right? So Beanie Bishop and Arthur Mollett are two guys that I think make sense to look at as far as corners. That's pretty much.
Garrett Murphy, he doesn't have any of the measurables. I just looked at his mock draftable, but outside linebacker had a pretty productive preseason, had 1.5 sacks in preseason. A lot of people, Vikings fans, were shocked. And we have a thing for Vikings defenders for some reason, especially the edge rushers. So he's a guy that you really can't ignore. But just wanted to add that in there.
And Michael Walker up there, the inside linebacker, I saw the chat talking a little bit, wondering was that the same as Michael Williams and Jalen Walker? I think there was like a crossover happening in the brains of our watchers. No, this is a guy who played for Atlanta. He was just released from Arizona, I believe. But Michael Walker actually is a pretty proficient coverage backer, and it's one of the reasons that I included him on here. I believe he's 26 years old. He's got some experience. He's got some starting experience as well on NFL defenses. That if we're looking at it from the linebacker standpoint of, if you're going to double dip, right? Say you really like Chris Paul Jr. and you say, this is a developmental guy that I would like to take a chance on. I'd love to get our hands on him and let Hanson kind of like mold him, this ball of clay, into what we want him to be for this system and for this defense. But maybe you also need a guy like Michael Walker that you can say provides actual depth instantly or situational value, where if it's a third down, it's kind of like a Kamu Grugier-Hill did for us, right? Where you could say if it's a covered situation, we feel better about him than we do Trevin or Christian Roseboom out there. So that's why I included him.
Yeah, so, I would say this comment right here just sums it up for me, man. Just give me all the linebackers. It can't possibly get worse. Yeah,
any and all.
We will take you in Carolina.
I do think that, and I said it in the chat, it could be one of those things that we did the corner last year where we just literally the back of that group just gets, we flip it for two guys. We claim two guys. Is it
possible that they only keep the top two guys, Dunk? Do you think that like Christian Roseboom and Trevin are the only ones that are safe there in that room?
Strong possibility. I think they do like Claude, like you mentioned a little bit earlier, just because he's been around so long. I guess so long. It's been year 3 of Evero. But
I think Mike K was the one that was talking about how much they love him, right?
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised though if they turn that group the back of that, because what we have 4. I don't know if we were did we project 4? Did we project 5? Most people did. Like, so I expect some movement there for sure. That could be probably one of the higher volume ones on the roster, in my opinion.
Yeah, I know I projected 5 when we looked at it, but that also doesn't mean anything, right? I was already blown out of the water with my projections. All right, so look, is there anything else that you guys want to touch on before we wrap this up here? And Dunk, let me also thank you very much, man. You joined last minute. I hit you up and just said, hey, if you want to do this, we're shooting from the hip tonight and just talking Panthers roster. You are one of the best content creators out there for the Carolina Panthers. You have a great following, man. People think the world of you, respect your takes. I'm one of them. And so thank you very much, man, for just like saying, yeah, I'll come on there and just shoot the shit with you guys for the night, man. I can speak for me and Bryson. I'm sure you probably feel the same, but we 100%. Appreciate your presence here tonight a lot, bro.
No doubt, man. I appreciate you having me. I'm a little bit more free at night after the kids go down. I didn't know what time you guys were starting or how strict you guys were. I was like, I can't make it right at 9, but if you have me a little bit later, I'll jump on. This is kind of when I do all my content stuff anyway, this time of night. So mine as well. And I won't be streaming until tomorrow either. So cool, chopping it up. I'm usually just talking to
There's a teaser right there too. Dunk will be streaming tomorrow. So if you didn't get enough of him tonight, tune in tomorrow again. I'm
usually talking to my camera or the chat. So this beats that any day of the week. And I get to have a drink as well. So
yeah, it's not bad, right? Speaking of having a drink, I do want to finish this with a little bit of a shot, as we have been doing the past couple of weeks. I've got a little bit of Templeton rye here.
Templeton?
I do. I'm a rye guy, and this is the cask finish, which is really nice. It's got a nice little second layer of depth to it. But we're doing this show tonight on a Tuesday because tomorrow I have plans. Tomorrow is my birthday. And so the boys were gracious enough to say, hey, Ricky, we'll do Tuesday so that you don't have to worry about coming here on your birthday. So I wanted to cheers and salute Dunk. I wanted to cheers and salute Bryson. And then everybody in the chat, man, and everyone that watches and is involved in the giveaway and everything. I appreciate everybody. Thank y'all for putting up with my bullshit too.
Hey, man, happy birthday, dog.
Thank you, man.
More life.
Amen. Finally able to drink legally, Ricky.
Yeah. 21. I'm almost double 21. I am an old man, as everyone can see by my beard.
Nah, man. Shout out to y'all though, man. Y'all have a good dynamic, man. Consistency is everything, of course, and y'all have some good conversations as well, and y'all bring the vibes with the beers and the beverages. And I don't know if anybody's watching. If they're watching me that weren't familiar with y'all before, make sure y'all subscribe to these guys, man. These are guys that are consistent. They're there. They're boots on the ground at games as well. And so their fans, of course, too. So they love the team. So anybody that's putting time out like that, support them. And I always say support the independent creators. I know we're iced out for the next 2 years. Well, next year, after this year, next year as well. But
we gotta find a way in. We gotta befriend somebody in those apartments. I've already started that process. We're gonna have sleepovers next year. I'm not missing this next year.
And the Panthers were sure in those blooper episodes to include back shots of those of those tractors working, and they were very very sure to include that.
Proof that we're actually working on something, guys. Okay, man. All right, 2 years is nuts. I'm not gonna lie. The Falcons, they redid their thing, but it only took them a year.
He was about to build a whole damn compound in Rock Hill in like 18 months. We can't do something in the little square footage over there at the practice field.
Come on, man. All that money he got to throw around, but that's what TSPE. Is that
it sure is. I'm gonna holler at my landscapers and just see what they know about like the city of Charlotte contractors. Be like, y'all get a couple extra crews out there, man, and see if we can't expedite this bitch. Like,
because I'm like, what are they gonna be? I mean, I guess stuff slows down when it's cold, but if the renderings are anything, it's gonna be nice. So hopefully, hopefully there's no delays or any kind of hiccups like we've seen in other construction projects, but.
It don't get too cold down here in Charlotte, North Carolina. You can work year round, man. I got a Carhartt jacket too, man. It works fine.
I won't really speak on the missteps of my home state. They dropped the ball on that. We could have been watching training camp from Avengers headquarters this year, but
could have.
Guys want to play politics.
Yeah, that's right.
I guess this is not really training camp or roster related. I don't know if you guys saw that. I talked about it in the group chat, that Raw Room interview with Mike Davis.
I haven't watched it yet.
I haven't watched the full thing either, but Bates was actually on this episode, and he talked about Matt Rule, not to bring up bad times, but he added a lot of context. And I think I don't know if there's some kind of gag order out there, but like a lot of players, they're almost afraid to talk about the Rule era. And I keep I'll hold Chuck accountable. Charles Johnson has swore up and down on Twitter that he had all these crazy stories and he was going to put it on the podcast. He never dropped the podcast. So we really haven't got a ton like intentionally about what was going on with the Rule era. We hear some stuff. I know Tommy talked about how they never got coached on the intricacies of playing tight end. I know Cam talked about some of the practice habits, but Mike talked about CMC and how he was practicing and how Matt Rule was just like didn't know what he was doing. He was just like, when you're in it, sometimes you can't really tell that it's a disaster until after the fact, especially when you're playing good. You're just like, okay, whatever. And we know Mike had his nice little run. But anyway, all that being said, he talked about how in practice they had goal line live reps during the season when I think it was during the COVID year. So I think it was a little bit wacky in terms of rules and stuff like that with the CBA and all that. But he said they had live goal line in practice during the season, which is almost unheard of. Bates and the rest of the crew were just like, what? Like they didn't even believe him. And CMC had just came back from an injury. And Matt Rule had CMC running live reps during goal line. They said he ran one play, he got high low. And CMC he checked himself out. Yeah, he checked himself out of practice. Dude. And he was like, this is so
how in depth do you have to be to run that though?
This is first practice back, by the way, from injury.
My God. And so we wonder why Christian had no problem getting out of here.
And that's what I said, man. I can't remember exactly what Cam said about them practicing, but he was just like, when he was there, he was like telling them, like, man, y'all are running him in the dirt a little bit for all the carries you guys give him. So like, just hearing how mismanaged he was then, and just like Rule, the stuff that Rule did, and just like how when we hear about Teddy talking about not practicing red zone, it's just how these guys are able to get hired and last as long as they do is just beyond me. And just the suck that we've had to go through as Panthers fans, man. When we see the brighter days, enjoy it, guys. That's all I gotta say. Whatever it looks like, we gotta enjoy it, man. That is we've been through some dark times, and shit, we just got the bad news about Frank Wright last week, changing the playbook up as well.
Right.
So it's like,
I was just about to say, man, half of this stuff, like us Panthers fans, we're already bummed out. We're already pissed off. We're losing, right? And we're going off of the things that we see on Sundays. We're going off the things that we're told by reporters. But there's a whole nother layer under that first onion layer, right? Like there is more to this. How the hell could we be a franchise that could be any worse off than what we have been for the last 7 years? And then you start learning about why. Matt Rule wanted 7 years to get his plan in place because he had like 7 different like integrations of how he was going to deteriorate every player on the roster. Like, it's nuts, man. It's crazy.
And it sucks because like we got all these 2015 vibes. So we see Ron like going off in the locker room during the preseason game, especially when like preseason has been such a hot button for us.
Love it. I timing is
horrible. Yeah, I do too. But the timing is horrible because it makes Canales look bad in the timing is what it was. And then like somebody posted a clip of us from like a locker room speech from Wilkes. And I'm like, damn, I'm like, how the hell did we even overachieve that part? And it's just like it's everywhere. And I'm so ready for the season, man. But all that to say,
are you still feeling good about the season, Dunk? Before we get out of here, I did want to ask that because we are at the point now, right? And I'm not doing like record predictions necessarily, but we are at the point now where we've gone through the offseason program. We've gone through preseason. We just did, the big cut. There's still some pieces that will be moving, but for the most part, man, this is what we're looking at. And the confidence level that you have in Canales, the confidence level you have in Bryce, the confidence level you have in Evero, and some of these rookies and young pieces on the defense and new additions on the defense, they're not going to change much from here, right? Like this is what we're going into. So where do you stand right now, Don?
My confidence level took a hit. I'm not going to lie. Some of the defensive pieces, just off of the preseason clips we've seen, they didn't really hit like I thought they were going to. I won't name my name because there's a lot of football still to be played and we only got a small sample. And this could just be me being insecure and bitter about not going to training camp, which I've done the past 4 or 5 years. But when the things are 0-0, this is why we show up. If you can't be confident this time of year, like when we haven't played real football yet, there's really no point in doing this, So I still feel confident. And I think, and I said it, I felt that way. And I think you said it in the group and it kind of made me feel like, okay, I'm not crazy for thinking this way. Like this division, there's question marks all over this division. Atlanta, quarterback, 3 games that he started and he was up and down, helter-skelter during that period. The Saints,
Spencer Rattler got the nod today.
It just names Spencer Rattler. And I just don't think they're that good of a team overall talent-wise. And then the Bucs, they are the defending champs, but they've got some injuries at wide receiver.
Significant injuries. And Tristan
and
Wirfs.
That tackle. That tackle. Not to mention another year of offense. Yeah, new OC. Again, they can't get lucky with that. And so I just don't think that, and this is just on top of us being bad last year and us like showing that division-wise, we split with Atlanta and the Saints. Obviously, the Saints game was a blowout, but we've shown that, hey, when we were at our best, we beat both of those teams and we did whatever. Even the Bucs game, I mean, the one at home was a pretty damn close game that we had opportunities to do things and win clearly. Like the game was in hand. We literally blew that game. And so like it makes you feel like, okay, hey, at our worst, when the defense was literally the worst it could ever be, I just don't see the defense being that bad. We still had a fighter's chance at times. So I just feel like it may so much not be confidence in the team overall, but the fact that this is the NFL and literally teams do this every year where they figure things out. I feel confident in Canales. The preseason is just going to be something I'm never going to agree with him with and his approach there. But overall, I didn't agree with it I didn't really agree with it last year in hindsight.
Right.
But the way things worked out, I feel confident in him as a play caller. It seems like he's going to get his stuff together with the full year with Bryce Young as an offseason. They're going to figure it out. I'm confident in Bryce, of course. I'm confident in our run game. I like our offense overall. It may not be a juggernaut, but I think we're going to be able to do that. We have a multitude of ways to attack people that I think we're going to be fine. Defensive-wise, it can't get much worse. I just need them to be in the low teens. Give me 18, give me 19, and give me some takeaways, and I'll be fine.
You think they get there, though? You think they get there?
I don't think it's impossible, man. If we're healthy, I think it's a very, very realistic goal to be able to get there. I just think stopping the run, even if we're liable because of pass rush, I think stopping the run and just even being better there will set us up for improvement everywhere else. Because like we couldn't stop anything. and your first down defense was giving up 6 yards per play. And so you're already behind the sticks. So being able to stop the run at least puts you in a fighter's chance with the sticks playing defense wise. And like, again, just be opportunistic when the chances come there and be able to stop the run. I think they'll be fine. You know what I'm saying? And so I don't need them to be world beaters. I don't need them to go worse the first like the Eagles. Just give me 18. Hell, I'll take 21, 22, because that's just literally out of the dumpster. And you're not a asset, but you're not literally. It put a lot of pressure on our offense last year, and I think we weren't at that spot to be able to do it. So any kind of complimentary football, if we can figure that out, I think we'll be fine. I'm excited. I'm excited about week 1. I'm going to Jacksonville. It's going to be hot.
Oh, you going with the Riot?
Yeah. Well, no, really. I'll be with them, but I'm not going with them. My college roommate, he lives down there. He's got season tickets as well. Okay. And I'll be hanging with the FBFO guys as well, down there too. So they're going. But
I know y'all had a ball down there in Las Vegas last year.
Man, tell me about it, man.
Yeah.
And so I just hope we win, because I got a lot of trash talk in the chamber that I haven't been able to let go. I put it out there on my channel. I was like, man, I've been making content since 2017. That was the last year that we actually had a winning record. We went to the playoffs. Yep. I've been making content since then.
So wait, are you the bad luck charm? What am I fucking hearing right now?
I started making videos in like September or October of that year. And then like from there, after that season, man, we haven't even touched success. It's been downhill. So
please tell me.
I told you there's a whole different.
Huh? No, I was gonna say, please tell me you're not asking the universe to choose between you and the Panthers' success. This would be
no. I'm not. I just say that. I just told everybody, I'm like, man, y'all haven't even seen dunk when our team is good. So like, there's gonna be a whole new side of me.
I want to see that, man.
That people are gonna see when we do that, because it's time, man. Tired of being talked about, picked on. People on Twitter thinking that we're just a charity case or a farm system, and we shouldn't want, like we talked about earlier. All that stuff pisses me off. Yep. Because there's no rhyme or reason to it. It's just because we're bad.
Just because we're bad.
They expect us to take it. And I'm tired of taking it. It's time to give it back out, man. So I'm ready for it.
Woo! Love that. Love that. Aaron Duncan from Dunk on Demand. Appreciate you being here tonight, man.
No doubt, fellas.
This was fun. Look, we're heading into the regular season. You got about 6 more days to get into this giveaway for this Muhsin Muhammad signed jersey, framed. It'll be sent to you in the frame, ready to go. You hang it up before the first game of the season, man. Just get your name in there, sign up. Dunk, again, appreciate you. Bryson, appreciate you. Curtis is already drinking his little spotted cow there in Wisconsin. But we'll end the episode here, and next week we'll be back to preview the very first regular season game of the 2025 Carolina Panthers season. But until then,
go.
Keep pounding.
I made it.